In the grand theatre of history, three powerful civilizations stand as pillars of human achievement: ancient Rome, Greece, and Egypt. These cultures, each magnificent in their own right, were not isolated in their greatness but intricately woven into a tapestry that would shape the course of human civilization. The threads of their stories intertwine, creating a narrative rich with innovation, conflict, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Picture the sun setting over the ancient city of Rome, its golden rays illuminating the majestic columns of the Forum. The air is alive with the sound of merchants hawking their wares and citizens debating the latest political intrigue. Just a few thousand miles away, along the banks of the Nile, the pyramids rise like sentinels, their secrets buried deep within the sands of time. Meanwhile, in the vibrant city-states of Greece, philosophers are gathering in the Agora, their ideas sparking a revolution in thought that will echo for millennia. The interplay of these civilizations carved the foundations of art, governance, and philosophy, crafting a legacy that endures to this day. The roots of this intricate relationship trace back to the cradle of civilization, where the seeds of culture were sown. The Egyptians, with their advanced understanding of architecture and mathematics, created monumental structures that not only showcased their power but also reflected their deep spiritual beliefs. These architectural feats would later inspire the Greeks, who took the principles of balance and symmetry and transformed them into breathtaking temples dedicated to their pantheon of gods. The Greeks, in turn, laid the groundwork for democracy, a radical shift away from the autocratic rule that characterized earlier societies. This political innovation would resonate through the ages, influencing Rome as it expanded to encompass a vast empire. As trade routes crisscrossed the Mediterranean, the exchange of goods went hand in hand with the exchange of ideas. Greek philosophers traveled to Egypt, seeking knowledge in the great libraries of Alexandria, while Egyptian craftsmen shared their techniques with the burgeoning Roman artisans. This cultural borrowing was not merely an exchange of objects, it was a profound sharing of identities, beliefs, and aspirations. The echoes of these ancient interactions continue to shape our world today, reminding us that the past is never truly lost but rather exists in a continuum of human experience. The Persian Empire loomed ominously on the horizon, a threat that united these disparate cultures in unexpected ways. The Persian invasions of Greece ignited an unprecedented wave of solidarity among the Greek city-states, leading to the legendary battles of Marathon and Salamis. The valor displayed in these confrontations would not only secure Greek independence but also solidify their status as a cultural beacon for the ages. This unity in the face of a common enemy drew Rome's attention, further intertwining the destinies of these great civilizations. With the rise of Hellenistic culture following the conquests of Alexander the Great, the threads connecting Greece and Egypt grew ever stronger. Alexander's brief yet impactful reign ushered in an era of cultural fusion, where Greek language and philosophy melded seamlessly with Egyptian traditions. The founding of cities such as Alexandria became vibrant centers of learning, where scholars from diverse backgrounds converged to share knowledge and ideas. This fusion of cultures would have lasting repercussions, as it laid the groundwork for the Roman Empire's eventual conquest of Egypt. As Rome grew in power and prestige, its leaders sought to emulate the accomplishments of their Greek predecessors and the mystical allure of Egyptian culture. The Roman Republic, with its roots in Greek political thought, expanded rapidly, absorbing the knowledge and traditions of the civilizations it encountered. In this melting pot, art and architecture flourished, as exemplified by the Roman adoption of Greek sculptures and the Egyptian practice of monumental building. Each civilization not only retained its unique identity but also enriched the other, creating a complex web of influence that would culminate in the grandeur of the Roman Empire. The age of Augustus marked a significant turning point, as Rome transformed from a republic into an imperial powerhouse. Augustus, the first emperor, drew inspiration from both Greek ideals of democracy and the divine right of kings that had defined Egyptian pharaohs for centuries. This melding of governance styles underscored the interconnectedness of these cultures as they navigated the delicate balance between power and tradition. The Roman Empire's expansion brought Egypt into its fold, where the Ptolemaic dynasty, a product of the Hellenistic period, served as a bridge between the two worlds. Yet, as the empires rose, so too did the specter of decline. The very threads that bound Rome, Greece, and Egypt together also wove a narrative of conflict and competition. As resources dwindled and political strife escalated, the once mighty civilizations began to falter. The legacies of these ancient cultures, however, did not fade into obscurity. Instead, they provided a foundation upon which future generations would build, their principles echoing through the ages. The connections between Rome, Greece, and Egypt are more than mere historical footnotes, they are a testament to the strength and resilience of human endeavor. This intricate tapestry of civilizations offers invaluable lessons about cooperation, innovation, and the enduring quest for knowledge. As we delve deeper into this epic story, we will uncover the unseen threads that link these great cultures, revealing a shared heritage that continues to influence our modern world. The journey through time promises to unveil not just the triumphs of these ancient societies, but also the challenges they faced and the wisdom they imparted to generations yet to come. As we set foot into the heart of ancient Egypt, we encounter a civilization that flourished along the banks of the Nile, a lifeblood that transformed arid landscapes into fertile grounds teeming with life. The Nile, winding its way through the vast desert, provided the essential sustenance for agriculture, enabling the Egyptians to cultivate crops such as wheat and barley. This river was more than water, it was a sacred entity, revered and worshipped, its annual floods anticipated with bated breath, for they brought the silt-rich soil that would nurture the fields. Around 3100 BCE, the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt marked the dawn of dynastic rule. This monumental event was led by Numa, also known as Mens, who wore the double crown symbolizing his dominion over a now unified land. The emergence of pharaohs established a system of governance that intertwined the spiritual and the political. The pharaoh was not just a ruler, he was a god in human form, a divine intercessor between the gods and the people, tasked with maintaining Ma'at, the cosmic order. The grandeur of ancient Egypt is epitomized by its monumental architecture and artistic achievements. The construction of the pyramids during the Old Kingdom stands as a testament to their architectural ingenuity and organizational prowess. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built for Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 BCE, was originally 146 meters tall, a towering symbol of human ambition and an embodiment of the pharaoh's eternal journey in the afterlife. These structures were not merely tombs, they were intricate complexes filled with treasures intended to accompany the dead into the next world. As we traverse the timeline, the Middle Kingdom emerges, a period characterized by stability and cultural renaissance. The pharaohs of this era, notably Mentuhotep II, re-established central authority after a period of turmoil, known as the First Intermediate Period. Literature flourished, and artistic expression reached new heights, evident in the intricate wall paintings and exquisite jewelry that adorned the elite. The Egyptians developed a keen understanding of medicine and mathematics, laying the groundwork for future innovations. The Nile's influence extended beyond agriculture, it served as a vital trade artery, connecting Egypt with neighboring regions. Merchants navigated its waters, exchanging goods and ideas, establishing a complex web of commerce that would shape Egypt's economy and cultural landscape. This interaction with other civilizations, particularly those in the Levant and Nubia, would sow the seeds for future alliances and conflicts. As we continue down the Nile, the shadows of the temples rise high, dedicated to gods like Ra, Osiris, and Isis. These deities formed the backbone of Egyptian spirituality, each embodying various aspects of life, death, and the natural world. The religious practices were elaborate, with grand festivals and rituals performed to appease these divine figures, seeking their favor for bountiful harvests and protection from chaos. The concept of the afterlife was paramount. Elaborate tombs and mummification practices reflected the belief in an eternal journey beyond death, where the soul would face judgment by Osiris, determining its fate. However, the very stability that the Nile nurtured was not without its challenges. As we move toward the New Kingdom, we witness the rise of powerful pharaohs such as Hatshepsut and Ramses II, who expanded Egypt's borders through military conquests and strategic diplomacy. The empire reached its zenith, stretching into Nubia, the Levant, and beyond. Yet, the seeds of decline were sown during these times of excess, as internal strife and external pressures began to erode the foundations of this once unshakable civilization. The arrival of the Sea Peoples around 1200 BCE marked a significant turning point. These maritime raiders attacked coastal cities and disrupted trade, leading to widespread chaos and contributing to the eventual dissolution of the New Kingdom. The once glorious temples fell into disrepair, and the pharaohs, faced with mounting pressures, struggled to maintain control over their vast territories. Despite the turmoil, the legacy of ancient Egypt remains indelible in the annals of history. The hieroglyphs, an intricate writing system that captured the essence of their culture, continue to baffle and inspire scholars and enthusiasts alike. The wisdom embedded in texts like the Book of the Dead and the teachings of Ptah-hotep resonate through the ages, offering insights into ethics, governance, and the human experience. As we step back to take in the grandeur of ancient Egypt, we recognize that this civilization was not a solitary beacon of light. It existed within a broader tapestry of interconnected societies. The knowledge and innovations birthed along the Nile would eventually seep into the realms of Greece and Rome, shaping philosophical thought, artistic expression, and governance. The pharaohs, with their divine rule and monumental achievements, set precedents that would echo through time, influencing empires and cultures far beyond their desert lands. In our exploration of these ancient threads, the story of Egypt serves as a powerful reminder of human resilience and creativity. From the nurturing waters of the Nile to the towering pyramids, the rise and fall of this civilization exemplify the beauty and fragility of human endeavor. As we prepare to journey to the next chapter, the echoes of Egypt's past resonate, reminding us that the threads connecting these ancient cultures are woven with shared ideals, fears, and aspirations, shaping the world we inhabit today. In the heart of the ancient world, where the Nile coursed through the desert like a lifeblood, a kingdom emerged, steeped in myth and draped in the mysteries of the gods. Ancient Egypt was not merely a civilization of stone and sand, it was a realm where the divine intertwined seamlessly with the mortal. From the outset, the Egyptians believed their land was a sacred gift, crafted by the gods to be nurtured and revered. This belief was woven into every aspect of their culture and governance, shaping a society that flourished for millennia. At the center of this vibrant tapestry stood the pantheon of gods, each deity embodying the forces of nature, life, and death. Ra, the sun god, rode across the sky in his fiery chariot, illuminating the land and sustaining its people. Osiris, lord of the afterlife, ruled over the realm of the dead, offering hope for resurrection and eternal life. The rituals surrounding these deities were not mere superstition, they were integral to the fabric of daily life. The Egyptians understood that their survival depended on pleasing the gods through offerings, prayers, and elaborate ceremonies. The mythology of ancient Egypt was rich with symbolic narratives that explained the mysteries of existence. For example, the tale of Isis and Osiris, a love story intertwined with themes of betrayal, death, and rebirth, conveyed profound truths about the human experience. This narrative resonated deeply with the Egyptians, as it mirrored their own struggles and aspirations, reinforcing the belief in life beyond death. The annual flooding of the Nile, which brought fertility to the land, was celebrated with festivals that honored these deities and their roles in sustaining life. Rituals often involved grand processions, chants, and offerings, binding the community in a shared expression of faith. Pharaohs, regarded as divine intermediaries, embodied the union of God and man. Their rule was legitimized by divine right, creating a theocratic system where governance was intrinsically linked to religious duty. The pharaoh was not merely a ruler but a living god on earth, responsible for maintaining Ma'at, the cosmic order that ensured harmony and balance in the universe. This belief instilled a sense of purpose in leadership, where the well-being of the kingdom depended on the pharaoh's ability to enact the will of the gods. The construction of grand monuments, such as the pyramids, symbolized the pharaoh's power and his connection to the divine. These awe-inspiring structures were not just tombs, they were gateways to the afterlife, designed to ensure the pharaoh's safe passage into eternity. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built for Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 BCE, remains a testament to the monumental ambition of a civilization that viewed death as a continuation rather than an end. Each stone was laid with the belief that the afterlife was a realm to be conquered, echoing the profound connection between the living and the dead. As we delve deeper into the rich mythology of ancient Egypt, we find that the gods served as a mirror reflecting human qualities and experiences. The Egyptians personified their fears, hopes, and values through these divine figures, creating a shared narrative that united them in their quest for meaning. For instance, the goddess Ma'at represented truth, justice, and cosmic order. Her principle guided not only the pharaoh but also the everyday lives of the people, instilling a moral compass that transcended time. The sacred texts and hymns of ancient Egypt reveal a society deeply engaged in theological discourse. The pyramid texts, inscribed in the burial chambers of pharaohs, were among the earliest religious writings, providing insights into beliefs about the afterlife and the cosmos. The Book of the Dead, a guide for the deceased, contained spells and incantations designed to navigate the challenges of the underworld. These texts were not merely religious artifacts, they illustrated the profound relationship between the divine and the earthly, emphasizing the importance of morality and the afterlife. As Egypt's influence spread, their rich mythology began to intermingle with the cultures of neighboring regions, sowing the seeds of shared beliefs. The Greeks, in particular, were drawn to the mysteries of Egyptian religion, fascinated by their pantheon and rituals. This cultural exchange laid the groundwork for a broader understanding of spirituality and philosophy, allowing the myths of ancient Egypt to transcend borders and resonate through time. The reverberations of Egyptian mythology can be felt even in contemporary society, where archetypes of gods and themes of creation, destruction, and rebirth continue to inspire literature, art, and popular culture. The story of Osiris and Isis, with its themes of love and resurrection, echoes in countless narratives, reminding us that the human experience is timeless, rich with shared emotions that transcend the ages. As we trace the legacy of ancient Egypt, we witness a civilization that harnessed the power of mythology to shape its identity and governance. The gods were not distant figures, they were integral to the lives of the people, guiding their actions and providing them with a framework for understanding their place in the universe. The rituals performed in their honor were not mere ceremonies, they were expressions of communal faith, binding the fabric of society together in a shared quest for meaning and order. In this kingdom born of myths, the intertwining of the divine and the mundane created a unique cultural landscape, one that would leave an indelible mark on the annals of history. The echoes of ancient Egypt continue to resonate, reminding us that the threads connecting civilizations are woven with shared beliefs, aspirations, and the timeless search for understanding. As the sun rose over the Mediterranean, another civilization was awakening, poised to shape the very foundations of thought and governance. Ancient Greece emerged from the shadows of its predecessors, its city-states like Athens and Sparta standing as beacons of innovation, rivalry, and intellect. Here, in this cradle of democracy, a profound transformation was underway, one that would ripple through time, influencing countless generations. In the 8th century BCE, the Greek city-states began to flourish, emerging from the remnants of the Mycenaean collapse. What set Greece apart was not just its geographical beauty, with rugged mountains and azure seas, but its vibrant tapestry of cultures and ideas. Each city-state operated independently, with its own government, laws, and customs, creating a dynamic environment ripe for philosophical discourse and political experimentation. As the Greeks looked beyond their borders, they began to forge a unique identity that would transcend their local allegiances. At the heart of this burgeoning civilization was the concept of democracy, which found its most profound expression in Athens. By the 5th century BCE, under the leadership of reformers like Cleisthenes and Pericles, the Athenian model of governance began to take shape. Citizens, however defined, participated directly in decision-making, voting on laws and policies that would guide their city. This radical departure from the autocratic rule of earlier times marked a significant turning point in human history, giving rise to the idea that power could be derived from the people rather than divine right or hereditary privilege. Yet, democracy was not without its challenges. The fierce competition between city-states often erupted into conflict, with rivalries intensifying the quest for dominance in the region. The Persian Wars, ignited by the expansionist ambitions of the Persian Empire, further highlighted these tensions. The unity forged among the Greek city-states in the face of a common enemy was a testament to their shared cultural heritage, yet once the threat diminished, the fractures re-emerged, leading to the Peloponnesian War. This devastating conflict pitted Athens against Sparta, revealing the complexities of alliances and enmities that characterized Greek society. Amidst the backdrop of warfare, the Greek philosophers began to emerge, challenging the status quo and probing the very essence of human existence. Thinkers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle laid the groundwork for Western philosophy, their ideas resonating through the ages. Socrates, with his relentless questioning and pursuit of truth, ignited a spark that would lead to a profound exploration of ethics and morality. His student, Plato envisioned an ideal society governed by philosopher kings, while Aristotle, with his empirical approach, sought to categorize and understand the natural world. Together, these philosophers stitched a new intellectual fabric, one that encouraged critical thought and inquiry. In the realm of art and architecture, the Greeks achieved unparalleled excellence, creating masterpieces that celebrated human beauty and intellect. The Parthenon, with its majestic columns and intricate sculptures, stood not only as a temple to the goddess Athena but as a symbol of Athenian pride and achievement. The sculptors, poets, and playwrights of ancient Greece captured the human experience, exploring themes of love, fate, and the cosmos, their works continuing to inspire and challenge audiences to this day. As the Greeks turned their gaze outward, they began to influence the cultures surrounding them, particularly in the realms of science and mathematics. Figures like Pythagoras and Euclid revolutionized understanding in these fields, laying the groundwork for future generations. Their contributions transcended borders, echoing in the halls of learning across empires, from Alexandria to Rome. Yet, the most profound influence of the Greeks lay in their capacity for cultural exchange. As trade routes expanded, so too did the exchange of ideas. The Greeks interacted with the Persian Empire and the burgeoning cultures of the East, integrating diverse philosophies and practices. This cultural borrowing helped to refine their own systems of thought and governance, creating a rich dialogue that transcended borders and time. The rise of Hellenism, the spread of Greek culture following Alexander the Great's conquests, marked a significant turning point. As he carved out an empire stretching from Greece to Egypt and into the heart of Persia, the fusion of Greek ideals with local customs became inevitable. Cities like Alexandria flourished as centers of learning and culture, where scholars gathered to share knowledge, ensuring that the intellectual legacy of the Greeks continued to thrive long after their political dominance waned. Yet, as the Greeks basked in the glory of their achievements, they remained acutely aware of their vulnerabilities. The delicate balance of power among the city-states, the constant threat of invasion, and the specter of civil strife loomed large. The lessons learned during these tumultuous times would resonate profoundly within their society, shaping future generations and their approach to governance and morality. In this rich tapestry of competing ideals and philosophies, the Greeks crafted a narrative that would echo through history. Their dedication to democracy, inquiry, and cultural exchange laid the groundwork for civilizations to come, creating a legacy that would inspire thinkers and leaders for centuries. As ancient Greece evolved, it not only forged its own identity but also connected to the broader currents of the Mediterranean world, setting the stage for the next great chapter in this unfolding saga. As the sun rose over the Aegean, the winds began to whisper of a looming threat from the east. The Persian Empire, a colossal power stretching from the Indus River to the shores of the Aegean, cast its long shadow across the Mediterranean. In 490 BC, the Persian king Darius I dispatched his forces to quell the city-states of Greece, viewing them as insubordinate rebels. The stage was set for a monumental clash that would not only challenge the very essence of Greek identity but also unite its fractured city-states in an unprecedented alliance. The first act of this epic saga unfolded at the Battle of Marathon. On the dusty plains just outside Athens, a force of about 10,000 Athenian hoplites faced the vastly superior numbers of the Persian army, estimated at 25,000. Against all odds, the Athenians, led by the brilliant general Miltiades, executed a bold maneuver. They charged, breaking the Persian lines and securing a stunning victory. The triumph at Marathon ignited a flame of unity among the Greek city-states, transforming their perception of each other from isolated rivals to partners against a common enemy. For the first time, many in Greece felt a shared identity, bonded by the experience of facing down the might of Persia. As the news of the Athenian victory spread like wildfire, confidence surged through Greece. This newfound sense of unity would soon be tested again during the second wave of the Persian invasion under King Xerxes in 480 BC. The Greeks prepared for a confrontation that would forge their legacy. The famous stand at Thermopylae became an enduring symbol of bravery and sacrifice. King Leonidas of Sparta, accompanied by his 300 warriors, held off the vast Persian forces, buying precious time for the rest of Greece to organize. While the Persian army eventually overran Thermopylae, the valor displayed by Leonidas and his men became a rallying cry for the Greeks. Meanwhile, at the naval battle of Salamis, the tide turned decisively in favor of the Greeks. the Athenian strategist Themistocles devised a cunning plan to lure the Persian fleet into the narrow straits, where their larger ships would be at a disadvantage. As the Greeks launched their attack, they shattered the Persian naval might, marking a pivotal moment in the war. The victory at Salamis not only secured Greek independence but also fostered an explosive cultural flourishing. In the aftermath of these battles, the Persian threat had galvanized the city-states, leading them into an era of unprecedented creativity and innovation. In the years that followed, often referred to as the Golden Age of Athens, a remarkable transformation unfolded. The city became a hub of art, philosophy, and democracy. Great thinkers such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle emerged, each contributing to a legacy of inquiry that would shape human thought for millennia. The Parthenon, a magnificent temple dedicated to the goddess Athena, rose majestically on the Acropolis, symbolizing the triumph of Greek culture and the civic pride born from their shared struggle against Persia. The unity among Greek city-states, however, was fragile. While they had come together in the face of external threats, the rivalry and discord that had long characterized their relationships were far from extinguished. The Delian League, formed as a defensive alliance against Persia, eventually morphed into an Athenian empire, exacerbating tensions with other city-states, notably Sparta. This brewing rivalry would lay the groundwork for future conflicts, as the very unity forged in the fires of war began to crack under the strain of ambition and power. Yet, the lessons learned from the Persian Wars forged a sense of resilience and pride that permeated Greek culture. The shared victories fostered a profound belief in the importance of civic duty and the power of the citizenry. The notion that ordinary people could rise up against tyranny inspired generations and underscored the value of democracy. As Greek city-states began to engage in cultural exchanges, the influence of art, architecture, and philosophy spread across the Mediterranean. With the specter of Persia receding, the Greeks looked outward. They established colonies across the coastlines of the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, spreading their culture and ideals far and wide. Trade flourished, and the exchange of ideas became a cornerstone of Hellenic society. The very fabric of their civilization wove tighter with each interaction, creating a rich tapestry of shared knowledge that would resonate throughout history. The conflict with Persia had not only united the Greeks but also sparked a cultural renaissance that would influence countless civilizations that followed. As philosophers pondered the nature of existence and artists captured the beauty of the human form, the echoes of their victories reverberated throughout time. The Persian threat had ignited a spirit of innovation and creativity, laying the groundwork for a legacy that would inspire empires and thinkers for centuries to come. With the dust of war settling, the ripples of these momentous events began to fade, yet their impact remained indelible. The Persian Wars ushered in a new era of cultural flourishing in Greece, a testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. This chapter would serve as a reminder of the strength found in collaboration, a lesson that would resonate through the ages as civilizations rose and fell, perpetually influenced by the unseen threads woven through time. Amidst the vibrant streets of Athens, a profound intellectual revolution began to take shape, one that would forever alter the landscape of thought. Here, in the cradle of philosophy, the works of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle emerged as luminous beacons, illuminating the minds of those who dared to question the world around them. Socrates, often regarded as the father of Western philosophy, roamed the city's agora, challenging the status quo with relentless inquiry. He introduced the Socratic method, a dialectical form of conversation that sought truth through questioning. His relentless pursuit of knowledge and virtue ignited a flame in the hearts of young Athenians, urging them to consider not only what they knew but how they came to know it. Yet, this quest for wisdom was not without peril. Socrates' radical ideas and his insistence on questioning established norms led to a trial that would seal his fate. In 399 BCE, accused of corrupting the youth and impiety, he faced death with stoic resolve, a martyr for the pursuit of truth. His legacy, however, endured through the works of his most famous disciple, Plato. Lifting Socratic thought to new heights, Plato founded the Academy, one of the earliest institutions of higher learning in the Western world. His writings, particularly the dialogues featuring Socrates, explored profound questions about justice, reality, and the soul. In his allegory of the cave, Plato illustrated the difference between the world of appearances and the world of forms, shaping the philosophical discourse on knowledge and perception. He envisioned a society governed by philosopher kings, individuals who understood the essence of justice and goodness. This radical concept of governance would resonate through centuries, influencing political thought from the Roman Empire to the Renaissance and beyond. Meanwhile, as Plato's ideas took root, another titan of thought emerged, Aristotle. A student of Plato, Aristotle's approach heralded a departure from his teacher, emphasizing observation and empirical evidence as the cornerstones of knowledge. He meticulously studied subjects ranging from biology to ethics, crafting a system of thought that integrated logic with the natural world. His works on ethics, politics, and metaphysics laid the groundwork for countless disciplines, positioning him as a towering figure in Western intellectual history. Aristotle's concept of the golden mean, which advocated for moderation in all aspects of life, echoed through the ages, influencing moral philosophy and personal conduct. As these philosophical currents flowed through Greece, they began to intertwine with the rich tapestry of Egyptian thought. The ancient Egyptians, who had long revered knowledge and learning, found common ground with their Greek counterparts. The Library of Alexandria, established in the 3rd century BCE, became a melting pot of ideas, attracting scholars from across the Mediterranean. It was here that the wisdom of the ancients was preserved, studied, and expanded upon. This grand repository of knowledge stood as a testament to the intellectual synergy between Greece and Egypt, bridging cultures and ideas in ways that would shape the future. In the midst of this flourishing intellectual landscape, the threat of the Persian Empire loomed large. As Greek city-states united against the Persian advance, the shared experience of war propelled the exchange of ideas. No longer confined to their own cities, philosophers and thinkers traveled, sharing insights and igniting debates that transcended borders. This period of cultural exchange laid the groundwork for the Hellenistic era, a time when Greek thought would blend with Eastern philosophies, producing a rich tapestry of innovation and creativity. The impact of these philosophers extended beyond mere academic discourse. Their ideas propelled advancements in science and technology. For instance, Euclid's geometrical treatises and Archimedes' innovations in engineering were direct results of the intellectual heritage cultivated by Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Their thirst for understanding the universe's principles drove the evolution of mathematics and physics, underscoring the practical applications of philosophical inquiry. As the sun set on the classical age, the echoes of these thinkers resounded throughout the Roman Empire. Romans, eager to connect with the grandeur of Greek culture, embraced the philosophical musings of their predecessors. Cicero, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius drew inspiration from Socratic ethics and Platonic idealism, weaving these threads into the fabric of Roman thought. The Stoics, in particular, highlighted the importance of rationality and virtue, echoing Aristotle's advocacy for a life of reason and balance. Yet, as the empires expanded and the philosophies evolved, the underlying tensions between differing schools of thought emerged. The debates between Stoicism and Epicureanism, for instance, illuminated the divergent views on happiness and the good life. These philosophical rivalries not only shaped personal beliefs but also influenced political ideologies, as leaders sought to align their governance with the prevailing philosophical currents. The tapestry of thought woven by Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle did not merely end with their lifetimes, it laid the foundation for future generations to build upon. The Renaissance, centuries later, saw a revival of classical ideas, as thinkers like Leonardo da Vinci and Galileo Galilei drew from the well of ancient wisdom. This resurgence would propel humanity into an age of discovery and innovation, forever altering the course of history. In this intricate web of intellectual exchange, the threads connecting ancient Rome, Greece, and Egypt became increasingly clear. The philosophers of Greece not only shaped their own civilization but also left an indelible mark on the world, their ideas resonating through the corridors of power and learning for millennia. As they pondered the mysteries of existence, they forged connections that transcended time, reminding us that the pursuit of knowledge is a timeless journey, each question a step deeper into the vast unknown. The allure of Greek culture reached far beyond the Aegean, stirring the winds of change in Egypt, a land steeped in its own rich traditions. As the knowledge of the Greeks began to seep into the Nile Valley, a fascinating dialogue emerged between these two ancient civilizations. The arrival of Hellenistic influence coincided with a time of remarkable transition, igniting a cultural renaissance that would echo through the ages. Following Alexander the Great's conquest in the 4th century BCE, the vibrant city of Alexandria blossomed into a beacon of learning and exchange. It was here, on the banks of the Mediterranean, that Greek philosophies mingled with Egyptian spirituality, creating a unique tapestry woven from both cultures. The Library of Alexandria stood at the center of this intellectual hub, housing scrolls from across the known world, where scholars from diverse backgrounds gathered to debate, study, and innovate. This was no ordinary library, it was an entire universe of knowledge, where the wisdom of Plato and Aristotle could be found alongside Egyptian texts on astronomy and medicine. As the Hellenistic period unfolded, Greek art and architecture began to permeate Egyptian styles. Statues that once depicted pharaohs in traditional poses now reflected a blend of Greek aesthetics, showcasing idealized forms and dynamic postures. The towering Ptolemaic temples, adorned with magnificent columns, bore witness to this fusion. The Temple of Horus at Edfu, for instance, was transformed under Ptolemaic rule, featuring intricate carvings depicting both Egyptian gods and Greek iconography, symbolizing a cultural synthesis that would influence generations to come. Alongside the visual arts, Greek literature found fertile ground in Egypt. The works of Homer, Sophocles, and Euripides were translated and disseminated, enriching the literary landscape of the Nile. Egyptian poets began to adopt Greek styles, blending traditional themes of the afterlife with Hellenic ideas of heroism and tragedy. This cross-pollination of poetic forms fostered a new literary identity, bridging the past and present, and demonstrating that stories transcended borders and languages. Philosophy, too, thrived in this fertile environment. Egyptian scholars, inspired by Greek thinkers, began to engage with questions of ethics, existence, and the cosmos. The teachings of Plato, who posited that the material world was but a shadow of a higher reality, resonated deeply with Egyptian beliefs in the afterlife and the divine. This synthesis gave rise to a rich intellectual tradition that would influence later philosophical thought across the Mediterranean. The exchange was not merely one-sided. Egyptian religion and cosmology began to infuse Greek thought, as deities like Isis and Osiris captured the imaginations of Hellenistic thinkers. In turn, the concept of the divine started to shift, with the Greeks adopting and adapting Egyptian gods into their own pantheon. The blending of religious beliefs allowed for a more nuanced understanding of divinity, impacting both cultures and fostering a sense of shared spirituality. Trade routes also played a pivotal role in this cultural exchange. As merchants traversed the Mediterranean, they brought not only goods but ideas. The bustling markets of Alexandria became melting pots of information, where philosophers, traders, and travelers disseminated knowledge. These interactions sowed the seeds for a new understanding of science and mathematics, leading to advancements in astronomy, geometry, and medicine. The famous mathematician Euclid, whose work on geometry laid down the foundations of mathematics, found inspiration in Egyptian knowledge and practices. The Ptolemaic dynasty, which ruled Egypt following Alexander's conquest, recognized the value of this cultural syncretism. They actively promoted the integration of Greek and Egyptian traditions, establishing a new identity that would resonate throughout their reign. The city of Alexandria became a symbol of this union, its streets alive with discussions on philosophy, art, and science. The Ptolemies, particularly Cleopatra VII, embraced this blend, embodying both Greek and Egyptian heritage, and portraying themselves as divine figures in a narrative that appealed to both cultures. This rich tapestry of influence was not confined to philosophy and art alone. The rise of Hellenistic thought in Egypt laid the groundwork for significant developments in medicine. Influential figures like Herophilus and Erasistratus, who practiced in Alexandria, advanced medical knowledge by drawing from both Greek and Egyptian texts. They pioneered the study of anatomy and physiology, emphasizing empirical observation, an approach that would shape the future of medicine. As the echoes of Greek culture lingered in the shadows of the pyramids, the interplay of ideas continued to flourish. Egyptian festivals began to incorporate Hellenistic themes, creating vibrant celebrations that reflected the unity of cultures. The blending of traditions culminated in a shared sense of identity that transcended race and geography, uniting people under a common pursuit of knowledge and understanding. Ultimately, the profound connections forged between Greece and Egypt during this era would resonate through history, illuminating the path for future civilizations. The intellectual and artistic legacies of this time, marked by the intertwining of two powerful cultures, would lay the groundwork for the Roman Empire and beyond. As these ancient threads wove together, they created an enduring legacy that would inspire countless generations, reminding us that the quest for knowledge knows no boundaries and that the past remains a vital thread in the fabric of our present. As the dust of battle settled across the sun-scorched sands of Egypt, a new chapter unfurled with the arrival of Alexander the Great in 332 BCE. The young Macedonian king, driven by ambition and a vision of a united world, swept through the ancient land like a whirlwind. His conquests were not just military, they were transformative, forever altering the cultural landscape of Egypt. At the heart of this transformation was the founding of Alexandria, a city that would become the beacon of knowledge and a melting pot of ideas. Upon his arrival, Alexander was greeted not as a conqueror but as a liberator. The Persians, who had ruled over Egypt, were despised, and Alexander's forces were welcomed with open arms. In a stroke of political genius, he donned the traditional pharaonic crown and was hailed as a god by the locals. This act of cultural sensitivity set the stage for a remarkable fusion of Greek and Egyptian customs, beliefs, and practices. With Alexander as their king, Egyptians were not stripped of their identity, rather, they found themselves at the crossroads of two mighty civilizations. The city of Alexandria rose from the sands, its streets paved with dreams of a new era. Founded as the capital of the Ptolemaic kingdom, it was designed with meticulous care, reflecting both Greek ideals of urban planning and Egyptian monumental architecture. The Grand Library of Alexandria, an institution that would house countless scrolls and texts, became a symbol of this cultural amalgamation. Scholars from all corners of the known world flocked to its doors, eager to delve into the rich tapestry of human knowledge that threaded together the wisdom of both Greeks and Egyptians. Within the bustling markets and vibrant streets of Alexandria, Greek philosophers mingled with Egyptian priests, each sharing their knowledge and beliefs. The exchange was palpable. Greek thought, celebrated for its reason and inquiry, began to intertwine with the mystical traditions of Egyptian religion. Heliopolitan sun worship met the philosophical musings of Plato, while the sacred rites of Osiris blended with the democratic ideals of Greek governance. This synthesis gave birth to a unique cultural landscape that resonated throughout the Mediterranean. The Ptolemaic dynasty, established by one of Alexander's generals, Ptolemy Isota, further entrenched this Hellenistic influence. The Ptolemies embraced their dual heritage, presenting themselves as both Greek rulers and protectors of the ancient Egyptian gods. They built temples that honored both Zeus and Amun, fostering a climate of religious syncretism that would encourage the growth of new cults while also retaining traditional practices. The two cultures, once so distinct, now flowed into one another, creating a vibrant mosaic that captured the imagination of the ancient world. Amid this cultural renaissance, Alexandria flourished as a center of learning. The streets buzzed with the ideas of mathematicians, astronomers, and poets. Euclid laid down the foundations of geometry, while Archimedes pondered the principles of buoyancy. The influence of these thinkers would ripple through the ages, shaping the course of scientific understanding. The Library of Alexandria became a sanctuary for these great minds, preserving their works for future generations. Within its walls, scrolls containing everything from medical texts to literary masterpieces were meticulously compiled, safeguarding knowledge that might otherwise have been lost. Yet, the Hellenization of Egypt was not without its tensions. Traditionalists resisted the changes, yearning for the old ways as the new culture permeated their daily lives. The priests of the ancient temples felt threatened, their authority challenged by the influx of Greek customs and philosophy. The clash between old and new created a dynamic cultural landscape, marked by both innovation and conflict. This tension would only intensify as the Ptolemaic dynasty struggled to maintain control over a diverse populace that included native Egyptians, Greek settlers, and a host of other ethnic groups drawn to Alexandria's promise. As the decades rolled on, the influence of Hellenistic culture spread beyond Alexandria, permeating the entire region. Egyptian art began to reflect Greek styles, statues of the deities donned Hellenistic features, merging the divine with the human in ways never seen before. The very language of the land transformed as well, with Greek becoming the lingua franca of administration and commerce. This fusion did not erase the Egyptian identity but rather enriched it, weaving new threads into the ancient tapestry that had existed for millennia. Amidst this cultural exchange, the figure of Cleopatra VII emerged, a queen who would epitomize the blending of these two worlds. Fluent in multiple languages and educated in the Greek tradition, she became a symbol of the Hellenized Egypt, deftly navigating the complexities of her dual heritage. Cleopatra's reign would underscore the intricate connections forged between Greece and Egypt, culminating in a legacy that echoed through the annals of history. The Hellenization of Egypt was a remarkable phenomenon, where the conquests of one man catalyzed a cultural revolution that would resonate for centuries. It laid the groundwork for a vibrant society that balanced the wisdom of the ancients with the emerging ideas of the Greeks. As Alexandria stood as a testament to this profound merging of cultures, it served as a reminder that history is not just a sequence of events but a tapestry woven with the threads of human experience, forever linking us to our past. From the flourishing banks of the Nile, our gaze shifts westward, where another transformative civilization begins to awaken. Here, in the rugged hills of central Italy, a humble settlement would lay the groundwork for one of the most powerful empires the world has ever known, Rome. Founded in the 8th century BCE, according to myth, by the twins Romulus and Remus, this nascent city emerged from the confluence of various Italic tribes and cultures, establishing roots that would forever alter the course of history. Initially, Rome was nothing more than a cluster of huts, built on the Palatine Hill, surrounded by marshy lowlands. Yet, its strategic position along the Tiber River provided not only access to fertile lands but also vital trade routes leading to the Mediterranean. It was this geographic advantage that enabled Rome to expand its influence, slowly but inexorably transforming from a mere settlement into a formidable power. By the 6th century BCE, under the rule of the Tarquin kings, Rome transitioned from monarchy to republic, setting the stage for its unprecedented growth. With the establishment of the Roman Republic in 509 BCE, power was no longer concentrated in the hands of a single ruler. Instead, a system of checks and balances emerged, characterized by the Senate and various popular assemblies. This new political framework not only encouraged civic participation but also allowed for a more organized approach to military conquests. The Roman legions, renowned for their discipline and skill, began to stretch their reach beyond the Italian peninsula, engaging in a series of conflicts that would cement Rome's dominance in the region. As the Republic expanded, Rome found itself embroiled in the Punic Wars against its rival, Carthage. The first conflict erupted in 264 BCE, igniting a struggle for control over the lucrative trade routes of the Western Mediterranean. The wars tested Rome's resolve, pushing its military and political systems to their limits. Yet, through a combination of strategic brilliance and sheer tenacity, Rome emerged victorious. The defeat of Hannibal, the Carthaginian general who dared to traverse the Alps with his war elephants, marked a turning point in Roman history. By 146 BCE, Carthage lay in ruins, and Rome solidified its status as the preeminent power in the Mediterranean. With newfound wealth and territory, Rome's ambitions grew. The conquest of Hellenistic kingdoms, particularly those in the eastern Mediterranean, further enriched the Republic and introduced a wealth of new ideas, art, and culture. The Romans, while fierce warriors, were not blind to the brilliance of the civilizations they encountered. They absorbed Greek philosophies, artistic techniques, and religious practices, leading to a cultural renaissance that would profoundly shape Roman identity. However, this expansion came at a cost. As Rome's territories multiplied, so did its challenges. The influx of riches and slaves from conquered lands created stark economic disparities, sowing discontent among the lower classes. The traditional agrarian society faced transformation. Small farmers struggled to compete against the wealth of large estates worked by enslaved labor. This socio-economic turmoil set the stage for internal strife, as power struggles began to erupt within the Republic itself. The late Republic became a theater of political upheaval and ambition. Figures like Gaius Marius and Lucius Cornelius Sulla exemplified the era's tension, as they wielded military might to achieve political ends. The Republic, once a beacon of civic virtue, began to fray at the edges, as personal ambition overshadowed collective responsibility. The assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BCE marked a dramatic climax in this turbulent saga, symbolizing the Republic's inability to adapt to the scale of its own power. In the aftermath of Caesar's death, the Republic's fate hung in the balance. It was his adopted heir, Octavian, later known as Augustus, who would ultimately rise from the chaos. In 27 BCE, Augustus effectively dissolved the Republic, transforming it into the Roman Empire. This shift was not merely a change in governance but a reimagining of Roman identity itself. Augustus became the first emperor, ushering in an era of relative peace known as the Pax Romana, a remarkable period of stability that would last for over 2 centuries. The rise of Rome was not just a story of military conquest or political maneuvering, it was a complex interplay of culture, economy, and ideology. As Roman legions marched across foreign lands, they carried with them not only swords and shields but also the ideals of Roman citizenship, law, and governance. The empire's architecture, from aqueducts to grand temples, reflected a commitment to engineering and beauty that would inspire generations to come. As Rome solidified its power, it became a crucible of cultural exchange, where the echoes of Greek philosophy, Egyptian religious practices, and Italic traditions intermingled. This synthesis birthed a unique Roman identity, one that was both a continuation and an evolution of the civilizations that preceded it. The rise of Rome was a testament to the resilience of humanity, an enduring reminder that in the face of adversity, civilizations could flourish and transform in ways previously unimagined. As we trace the strands of this historical tapestry, the rise of Rome emerges not merely as a chapter in isolation but as a pivotal moment that intertwined with the legacies of Greece and Egypt. It set the stage for a new world order, one that would echo through the corridors of history for millennia to come. As the dust of conquest settled and the empire stretched its limbs across the Mediterranean, a remarkable phenomenon unfolded. Cultural borrowing became the lifeblood of Roman identity, a dynamic interplay of influences that reshaped its very essence. The Romans, pragmatic and adaptive, looked to their predecessors and neighbors, weaving together the rich threads of Greek philosophy and Egyptian mysticism into a vibrant new fabric. The Greeks, with their profound love for knowledge and artistry, had long laid the foundation for intellectual pursuits. Roman leaders seized upon this treasure trove, recognizing the value of Hellenistic thought. By the 1st century BCE, Greek tutors were commonplace in Roman households, imparting wisdom that shaped the young minds of future statesmen. Cicero, a stalwart of Roman oratory, was heavily influenced by the teachings of Greek philosophers. He spoke of justice and virtue with the eloquence borrowed from the likes of Plato and Aristotle, melding these ideas with Roman ideals to create a uniquely Roman philosophical framework. Yet, the Greeks were not the only wellspring from which Rome drew. The allure of Egypt was inescapable, with its ancient rituals and profound spirituality capturing the Roman imagination. The grandeur of Egyptian temples, adorned with hieroglyphics and towering statues, left an indelible mark on the Roman psyche. When Julius Caesar ventured into Egypt, he was not merely a conqueror but a seeker of knowledge and culture. He returned to Rome with Cleopatra, whose intellect and charm captivated him, but more importantly, her presence brought with it the rich tapestry of Egyptian culture. In the wake of their romantic entanglement, Caesar adopted the title of pharaoh, symbolically linking Roman authority with the divine rule of Egypt. This was not mere vanity, it was a calculated move that integrated Egyptian religious practices into Roman life. The worship of Isis, a goddess of motherhood and fertility, began to flourish in Rome, reflecting an openness to foreign deities that would profoundly influence the spiritual landscape. Temples dedicated to Isis sprouted across the empire, blending Egyptian mystique with Roman tradition, creating a syncretic faith that resonated with the populace. As the empire expanded, so too did the practice of cultural borrowing. The Romans were acutely aware that the strength of their empire lay not just in military might but in cultural cohesion. They diligently adopted Greek art forms, revamping the classical styles of sculpture and architecture. The stunning marble statues of gods and heroes, once the hallmark of Greek sculptors, found their way into Roman homes and public spaces. It was not mere imitation, it was an evolution, as Roman artists infused their creations with a sense of realism and gravitas that spoke to their own values. The architectural marvels of ancient Rome also bore the hallmark of Hellenistic influence, with the incorporation of columns and porticos that had their roots in Greek design. Yet, the Romans added their innovations, the arch and the dome, revolutionary engineering feats that would redefine construction. The Pantheon, with its grand dome and intricate coiffured ceiling, stands as a testament to this meld of styles, a building that embodies the spirit of both the Greek pursuit of beauty and the Roman quest for functionality. Roman literature, 2. Blossomed under the influence of Greek predecessors. The epic works of Homer inspired poets like Virgil, who sought to create a national epic in the Aeneid. In weaving the tale of Aeneas, Virgil not only honored his Greek forebears but also consciously crafted a narrative that linked Rome's origins to the ancient Trojans, presenting the empire as the destined heir to a glorious past. This blending of narratives served to solidify cultural identity as Romans embraced a story that was both universal in its themes and distinctly their own. As the Romans progressed, they did not merely absorb and replicate, they transformed elements of neighboring cultures to suit their purposes. Egyptian motifs began to appear in Roman frescoes, while Greek dramas adapted to Roman sensibilities explored themes of civic duty and moral dilemmas, mirroring the complexities of Roman life. This adaptability was a hallmark of Roman culture, allowing it to evolve continuously while maintaining a sense of unity among its diverse subjects. Yet, this cultural intermingling was not devoid of tension. The adoption of foreign gods and customs sometimes met with hostility from staunch traditionalists who viewed such practices as a dilution of Roman values. The Senate debated the merits of these foreign influences, weighed against the virtues of ancient Roman customs. Still, the allure of Egyptian mysticism and the intellectual sophistication of Greek thought proved irresistible, forging a path toward greater cultural integration that ultimately enriched Roman society. The culmination of this cultural borrowing was most vividly seen during the reign of Augustus, who recognized the power of cultural unity. He championed a renaissance of Roman culture, drawing upon Greek and Egyptian elements to bolster his image as a leader. The celebration of the arts flourished, creating a period of unprecedented cultural achievement that drew the best from each civilization, leading to a golden age of literature, architecture, and philosophy. In the grand tapestry of history, the threads of cultural borrowing reveal a powerful truth: the strength of empires often lies in their ability to embrace diversity. As Rome absorbed the wisdom and aesthetic sensibilities of Greece and Egypt, it crafted a unique identity that not only defined its age but also set the stage for future civilizations to come. The echoes of this cultural amalgamation resonate still, reminding us that the wealth of humanity lies in our ability to learn from one another, enriching our shared legacy. The Roman world was on the brink of a monumental shift, a transformation that would forever alter its identity. This pivotal moment coalesced around a singular figure, Gaius Octavius, better known as Augustus. After a decade of civil conflict, the end of the Roman Republic was nigh, giving way to the dawn of the Roman Empire. In 27 BCE, Augustus stood before the Senate, a figure clad not in the armor of a general, but in the robes of a statesman, declaring the restoration of the Republic. Yet it was a republic redefined, one that bore the unmistakable stamp of imperial authority. Augustus was not merely a conqueror, he was a master of political theater. He wielded his power with a blend of shrewdness and charisma, presenting himself as the upholder of traditional Roman values while simultaneously dismantling the old order. The Senate, which had once wielded substantial power, found itself relegated to a more ceremonial role. Augustus cleverly positioned himself as the first among equals, taking the title of princeps, or first citizen, which masked his true dominance. This was a careful balancing act, a consolidation of power that would lay the groundwork for a new era. As Augustus gained control, he initiated a series of reforms that transformed the very fabric of Roman society. He understood that the stability of his rule depended not just on military might, but on the support of the people. He enacted policies that improved the lives of ordinary Romans, from grain distributions to the expansion of public works. The construction of roads, aqueducts, and temples became a hallmark of his reign, symbolizing the might and benevolence of his leadership. The famous statement attributed to him, "I found Rome a city of bricks and left it a city of marble," encapsulates his ambition to elevate Rome to unprecedented heights. This golden age also saw the flourishing of the arts and literature. Augustus was a patron of poets and artists, fostering a cultural renaissance that celebrated Roman achievements and mythology. The epic works of Virgil, such as the Aeneid, intertwined Rome's destiny with that of the great heroes of the past, emphasizing a divine mission that legitimized Augustus's reign. The poet's lines echoed through the ages, instilling a sense of pride and identity among the Roman populace. However, Augustus's reign was not without its challenges. The expansion of the empire brought with it the complexities of governance over diverse cultures and peoples. the incorporation of provinces required a deft administrative hand, and Augustus established a system that allowed for local autonomy while maintaining imperial oversight. This blend of central authority and local governance would serve as a model for future emperors, a testament to Augustus's forward-thinking approach. Simultaneously, Augustus faced external threats that tested the limits of his reign. The expansion of the empire into Germania encountered fierce resistance, culminating in the catastrophic defeat at the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest in 9 CE. This loss, in which 3 Roman legions were annihilated, marked a turning point in Roman military strategy, prompting Augustus to reassess the empire's boundaries and the methods of its expansion. Throughout his rule, Augustus deftly navigated these challenges, ensuring that his legacy would endure. He established a system of succession that would maintain stability beyond his lifetime. His emphasis on family and the lineage of leadership inspired future emperors to adopt a similar dynastic approach. By enshrining the values of loyalty and service, Augustus crafted a narrative that would resonate for generations to come. As the age of Augustus unfolded, the concept of divine authority took root in the fabric of Roman governance. The reverence for the emperor evolved into a powerful tool for unifying the vast expanses of the empire. Augustus skillfully linked his rule to the divine, portraying himself as a figure favored by the gods. This notion of the emperor as a semi-divine being would solidify an ideological foundation that connected the people of the empire to their leader, reinforcing loyalty and stability amidst the vast diversity of cultures. With Augustus at the helm, the empire not only expanded territorially but also culturally. The Pax Romana, or Roman peace, allowed for trade, ideas, and cultures to flow freely across borders. The Mediterranean became a bustling network of commerce, where goods, art, and philosophies intermingled, further enriching the tapestry of Roman life. The legacy of this era was not merely one of military conquest but of cultural synthesis, laying the groundwork for a civilization that would influence the world for centuries. As Augustus approached the twilight of his reign, he understood that his legacy was inextricably linked to the empire's future. He established the principle that leadership was not solely about power but also about responsibility. His reforms and vision set a precedent that would steer the Roman Empire through its subsequent phases, from the heights of prosperity to the challenges of decline. Augustus's reign encapsulated a transformative period in Roman history, where the delicate threads of order and chaos wove together to create a formidable empire. His ability to transition Rome from a republic to an empire, while maintaining a facade of traditional governance, demonstrated an extraordinary blend of political acumen and vision. In the hands of Augustus, Rome was not just a city, it was a burgeoning civilization, poised to shape the course of history, echoing through the ages as a beacon of power, culture, and enduring influence. In this new era of Roman grandeur, the intertwining of politics and religion took center stage, echoing the practices of ancient Egypt where divine right had long served to justify the authority of rulers. Both empires understood that legitimacy was not merely about wielding power, it was about the perception of that power. In Egypt, pharaohs were regarded as gods on earth, the embodiment of divine will, maintaining Ma'at, or cosmic order. They were the intermediaries between the gods and the people, their authority sanctified by rituals that linked them to the divine. The grandeur of the pyramids, the elaborate temples, and the sacred rituals were all designed to reinforce this connection, presenting a ruler who was both a monarch and a deity, a living representation of divine order, ensuring stability and prosperity. As Augustus solidified his control over Rome, he recognized the potency of this ancient concept. He embraced the notion of divine kingship, subtle yet deliberate in his approach. Augustus presented himself not just as a ruler but as a figure under the favor of the gods. He commissioned temples dedicated to various deities and participated in religious ceremonies, reinforcing his image as a pious leader. His titles, such as Princeps and later Imperator, were steeped in the expectation that he was favored by the divine, allowing him to navigate the complex political landscape of Rome while maintaining an air of traditional governance. This blend of sacred authority and political power was not merely a facade but an essential component of his rule, underpinning the very structure of the imperial system. The impact of this divine right stretched beyond mere titles. In Rome, the Senate's power diminished, yet the Senate still played a role in the religious aspects of governance. By adopting the role of Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest, Augustus positioned himself at the intersection of political and religious authority. This duality provided him with unassailable legitimacy, as he guided Rome through a period of transformation. The populace began to view him not just as a leader but as a protector of their beliefs and traditions, a divine figure who could ensure the favor of the gods in times of uncertainty. Meanwhile, in Egypt, the divine right evolved through the Ptolemaic dynasty, which emerged after Alexander the Great's conquests. The Ptolemies, though of Macedonian Greek descent, adopted the Egyptian tradition of divine kingship to solidify their rule. They presented themselves as successors to the great pharaohs, blending Greek culture with Egyptian customs. The Ptolemies claimed descent from the goddess Isis and associated themselves with the divine, employing religious rituals to reinforce their position. They constructed monumental temples that echoed ancient designs, positioned to honor both the Egyptian deities and the Hellenistic pantheon, thus appealing to both cultures while asserting their power through divine lineage. This dynamic relationship between power and religion shaped the governance of both civilizations. In Egypt, the rituals surrounding the pharaoh were elaborate spectacles, emphasizing the king's role as a divine guarantor of prosperity. Festivals, such as the Opit festival, celebrated the union of the pharaoh with the gods, underscoring the belief that the pharaoh's divine connection was vital for the nation's well-being. Such events were not merely religious observances but grand national celebrations that reinforced the divine right of the ruler and the unity of the state. In Rome, the imperial cult emerged as a key instrument of Augustus' power. Citizens were encouraged to worship the emperor as a divinity, creating a new layer of religious devotion that tied the success of the empire to the emperor's favor. This was a crucial element in maintaining loyalty and unity across the vast territories of the empire. The acknowledgement of the emperor's divine status fostered a sense of shared identity, tying the diverse populations together in reverence for a central figure who transcended mere mortal governance. The concept of divine right also led to conflict, both internally and externally. The legitimacy provided by divine claims made emperors vulnerable to challenges from rivals who could question their divine favor. This tension often manifested in civil wars, as seen in the turbulent years following the death of Augustus, when his successors faced opposition that sought to reclaim the traditional republican values, questioning the divinity of their rule. Yet, the divine narrative spun by Augustus and those who followed him proved resilient, allowing the imperial system to endure through these trials. Simultaneously, the unshakable belief in divine right could also inspire fear among those in power. The assassination of Julius Caesar and the subsequent civil wars highlighted the volatility of a system built on the intertwining of power and religion. The populace's belief in the divine nature of their rulers meant that a loss of faith could lead to catastrophic consequences, illustrating the delicate balance that emperors had to maintain. A ruler's legitimacy was only as strong as the faith the people placed in them, a reality understood deeply by both Roman emperors and Egyptian pharaohs. In this rich tapestry of ancient power structures, the divine right of kings served as both a shield and a sword. It legitimized authority, solidified loyalty, and provided a framework for governance that transcended the temporal realm. As Augustus cemented his place in history, he harnessed the age-old traditions of divine kingship, echoing the pharaohs of Egypt, and forever altering the landscape of power and religion in the ancient world. The threads connecting these great civilizations reveal a profound understanding of the human need for order, stability, and the assurance that those in power were chosen by the gods themselves. As the dust settled on the tumultuous era following Alexander the Great's death, a new dynasty emerged, weaving together the rich tapestries of Greek and Egyptian cultures. This was the Ptolemaic era, a time marked by both innovation and intrigue, where the once disparate elements of these ancient civilizations began to coalesce under the reign of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Ptolemy Isota, one of Alexander's trusted generals, seized the opportunity to claim Egypt as his own, establishing a lineage that would flourish for nearly 3 centuries. In the wake of conquest, Ptolemy I recognized the significance of blending traditions. He adopted the title of pharaoh, embracing the ancient customs that had governed Egypt for millennia. This strategic maneuver not only solidified his rule but also endeared him to the native populace, who revered the divine right of kings. Ptolemy I founded the city of Alexandria, a bustling metropolis that would become one of the greatest centers of learning and culture in the ancient world. It was here that the great library of Alexandria would gather scrolls from across the Mediterranean, becoming a beacon of knowledge and a testament to the era's intellectual vibrancy. As the Ptolemaic dynasty unfolded, the throne passed through a succession of rulers, each grappling with the delicate balance of maintaining power while navigating the complexities of Greek and Egyptian identities. Among these rulers, Cleopatra VII stands out as a symbol of this cultural synthesis. Born in 69 BCE, she was not only the last pharaoh of Egypt but also a figure steeped in political acumen and charisma. Fluent in multiple languages, including Egyptian and Greek, Cleopatra represented the merging of two worlds. Her reign became synonymous with ambition, romance, and tragic fate, but it was also a crucial period for the intermingling of Greek and Egyptian arts, sciences, and philosophies. Cleopatra's relationships with powerful Romans, notably Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony, brought Egypt into the heart of Roman political intrigue. These alliances were not merely personal, they were strategic, aiming to restore Egypt's former glory and secure its independence against the encroaching tides of Roman power. Cleopatra's court became a vibrant crossroads of culture, where Greek philosophers, Egyptian scholars, and Roman statesmen exchanged ideas, fostering an environment of rich dialogue that echoed through time. The Ptolemaic kings, including Cleopatra and her ancestors, understood the importance of cultural patronage. They sponsored monumental architecture, including temples dedicated to both Greek and Egyptian gods, which symbolized their dual identity. The most famous of these is the Temple of Isis at Philae, a site where Greek architecture met traditional Egyptian religion, illustrating the creative tensions and synergies of the era. These structures were not just places of worship, they were statements of political power, designed to legitimize the Ptolemaic rule in an ever-changing landscape. Art flourished under the Ptolemies, marked by a unique style that blended Hellenistic and Egyptian influences. Portraits from this period often depicted Ptolemaic rulers with traditional Egyptian iconography while draped in Greek attire, a powerful visual representation of their dual heritage. The famous bust of Cleopatra, with her regal yet approachable demeanor, embodies this synthesis, captivating audiences and reminding them of her unique position at the crossroads of two great civilizations. As trade routes expanded, so did the exchange of ideas. The Ptolemies recognized the strategic value of trade, fostering connections that reached far beyond the borders of Egypt. Alexandria became the epicenter of commerce, drawing merchants and scholars from across the known world. The Ptolemaic dynasty promoted a culture of innovation. Advances in astronomy, mathematics, and medicine were made by thinkers like the astronomer Claudius Ptolemy, whose geocentric model of the universe would dominate for centuries. These intellectual pursuits were critical in laying the groundwork for future scientific inquiry, intertwining the legacy of the Ptolemaic era with the broader narrative of human advancement. Despite the era's cultural and intellectual achievements, it was not without challenges. The Ptolemaic dynasty faced constant threats, both from internal dissent and external forces. The growing power of Rome loomed large, as Roman generals sought to expand their influence in the region. Cleopatra's reign, marked by both her romantic liaisons and her attempts at political maneuvering, ultimately led to tragic consequences. The defeat at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE was a decisive blow, signaling the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the beginning of Roman dominance over Egypt. In the aftermath of Cleopatra's death and the annexation of Egypt by Rome, the threads woven during the Ptolemaic era continued to resonate through time. The cultural exchanges and intellectual advancements established during this period laid a foundation for the Roman Empire's own evolution. The legacy of the Ptolemies, with their blend of Greek and Egyptian traditions, became a part of the wider narrative of antiquity, influencing art, philosophy, and governance for centuries to come. As the curtain fell on the Ptolemaic dynasty, the echoes of their rule remained. The intermingling of cultures, beliefs, and knowledge had created a unique identity that transcended borders. This era serves as a powerful reminder of the profound connections that can arise when civilizations intertwine, shaping the course of history in ways that are both visible and unseen. The Ptolemaic era was not merely a chapter in Egypt's story, it was a pivotal moment in the grand tapestry of human civilization, one that continues to inspire reflection on the interplay of power, culture, and legacy. As the Ptolemaic era unfolded, the economic and diplomatic ties between Rome, Greece, and Egypt became vital threads in the intricate fabric of the ancient world. These connections did not emerge from a vacuum, rather, they were cultivated through centuries of trade, diplomacy, and shared interests. The Mediterranean Sea, glistening under the sun, served as a bustling highway for goods and ideas, binding these great civilizations in a network of commerce that would influence everything from politics to culture. The bustling markets of Alexandria, one of the jewels of the Ptolemaic dynasty, became a melting pot of cultures and a focal point for trade. Ships laden with grain, textiles, and luxury items from Egypt's fertile lands mingled with those carrying olive oil, wine, and pottery from Greece. This trade was not just about material goods, it facilitated the exchange of philosophies, scientific knowledge, and artistic styles, creating a rich environment for innovation and cultural synthesis. Merchants, diplomats, and scholars traversed these trade routes, their journeys echoing the ambitions of their respective empires. The strategic location of Egypt, with its access to both the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, made it a linchpin for ancient trade. Grain from the Nile was the lifeblood of Rome, nourishing its growing population and solidifying its power. By the time of Julius Caesar, who famously declared that without Egypt, Rome would starve, the economic interdependence was unmistakable. This reliance fostered a diplomatic relationship that was as critical as any military alliance. It was a relationship built on the delicate balance of power, where cooperation was often preferred over conflict. As the landscape of diplomacy evolved, so too did the roles of key figures like Cleopatra VII. Her reign was marked by astute political maneuvering, leveraging her relationships with powerful Roman leaders such as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Cleopatra understood that the future of Egypt and its prosperity hinged on maintaining strong ties with Rome. She welcomed Roman citizens to her court, using their influence to bolster her position while simultaneously embedding Egyptian culture within the Roman heart. Such diplomacy was not merely transactional, it was a dance that required skill and the ability to navigate the ambitions of powerful men. The Romans, in turn, recognized the value of Egypt as more than just a source of grain. Under Augustus, Egypt became a province, yet it retained an allure that transcended its political status. The Romans respected Egyptian religious traditions, often intertwining their own beliefs with the ancient practices of the land. This cultural syncretism was a testament to the deep-seated connections that trade and diplomacy fostered, enriching both societies. Temples adorned with Roman architectural styles stood alongside traditional Egyptian structures, symbolizing the blend of cultures and mutual respect. Yet, amidst the glowing reports of prosperity, the realities of trade were complex. The growing demand for luxury goods led to increased competition, not only between Rome and Egypt but also among other emerging powers, including the Parthians and later the Sassanids. As trade flourished, so did the tensions that often accompanied it. The vast network of roads and sea routes that facilitated commerce also became arenas for conflict, as rival factions sought control of lucrative trade routes. Diplomacy had to evolve in response, with treaties and alliances shifting like the tides of the sea. The sophistication of trade during this period cannot be overstated. The introduction of coinage improved transaction efficiency, and the spread of banking systems allowed merchants to fund long-distance trade ventures. Economic treaties were established, ensuring the safe passage of goods and the protection of merchants. This flourishing economy was not merely about wealth, it was an engine for innovation. The exchange of knowledge and technology across these trade routes led to advancements in agriculture, engineering, and medicine, laying the groundwork for future achievements. Cultural exchange thrived alongside economic ties. Greek artistry began to influence Egyptian sculpture, while Egyptian motifs found their way into Roman architecture. The blending of styles produced stunning results, as seen in the famous Temple of Dender, which showcases Egyptian artistry infused with Hellenistic elements. This cultural amalgamation challenged the notion of distinct boundaries between civilizations, fostering a sense of shared heritage that transcended geographical divides. The legacies of trade and diplomacy during this era are profound. The relationships formed between these civilizations laid the groundwork for an interconnected world, one where the flow of ideas and goods would shape the future. The echoes of these ancient interactions can still be felt today, reminding us that the threads of history are woven through shared experiences and mutual understanding. As the sun set over the Mediterranean, illuminating the bustling ports and vibrant markets, it became clear that trade and diplomacy were not mere tools of convenience. They were the pulse of civilization, driving progress, fostering innovation, and connecting peoples across vast distances. The intertwining destinies of Rome, Greece, and Egypt are a testament to the enduring power of collaboration in shaping human history. Their shared legacy, one forged through the exchange of goods and ideas, continues to resonate, demonstrating that the true strength of a civilization lies not only in its might but in its ability to connect, learn, and grow together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the sands of time, the monumental architecture of ancient Egypt stood as a testament to human ambition and ingenuity. The Egyptians, with their mastery of stone and vision, created structures that not only served as tombs for their pharaohs but also as symbols of their civilization's religious and political might. These great edifices would not remain confined to the banks of the Nile, they would echo through history, whispering their secrets to the architects of Rome. The Great Pyramid of Giza, rising majestically against the azure sky, was not merely a tomb but an engineering marvel that showcased the Egyptians' extraordinary understanding of geometry and logistics. Constructed around 2580 BC, this monumental structure was the tallest man-made building in the world for over 3,800 years. Its sheer scale inspired awe and reverence, a legacy that would capture the imagination of later civilizations. The Romans, deeply influenced by its grandeur, sought to replicate such monumental ambition in their own constructions. Temples dedicated to the gods punctuated the Egyptian landscape, with the Temple of Karnak standing as the largest religious building ever constructed. Its vast columns and intricate carvings not only conveyed the power of the divine but also the might of the state that worshipped them. Each column, adorned with hieroglyphics and monumental reliefs, became a canvas for stories of gods and kings, echoing the themes of mortality and divinity. When the Romans began their own temple constructions, such as the Pantheon, they borrowed the concept of grandiosity and the use of columns, blending Egyptian influence with their unique architectural innovations. In the wake of Alexander the Great's conquests, the city of Alexandria emerged as a beacon of knowledge and culture, drawing inspiration from both Greek and Egyptian architectural styles. The famed Library of Alexandria, a hub of scholarship, was housed in a structure that mirrored the grandeur of the temples of Egypt, combining Hellenistic design with Egyptian motifs. As scholars gathered to study the texts of the ancients, the architectural legacy of Egypt continued to inform the civic structures of Rome, which saw itself as the inheritor of this rich cultural tapestry. Roman architects and engineers ventured beyond mere imitation, they innovated upon the foundations laid by their predecessors. The use of the arch, a hallmark of Roman construction, found its roots in earlier techniques employed by the Egyptians in their monumental gateways and structures. While the Egyptians predominantly used massive stone blocks, the Romans mastered the art of concrete, enabling them to create larger and more complex forms, such as the aqueducts that would carry water to their burgeoning cities. The engineering marvels of Rome were thus a direct line of evolution from the stone-carved legacies of Egypt, blending the old with the new. The Colosseum, with its grand arches and tiered seating, stands as a testament to Roman ambition, yet one can trace its inspiration back to the arenas and amphitheaters of the Egyptians. The Romans understood the importance of public spaces for entertainment and civic engagement, a concept that had deep roots in Egyptian culture where public festivals often took place amidst their monumental architecture. This blending of purpose and design created a legacy of civic spaces that encouraged public life, a fusion of ideas that spanned not just geography but also time. Even in the realm of funerary architecture, the interplay between Egyptian and Roman styles is evident. The elaborate tombs of Egypt, often adorned with hieroglyphics and designed to ensure safe passage to the afterlife, influence Roman practices surrounding death and burial. The creation of grand mausoleums, such as the Mausoleum of Augustus, reflected a desire to mimic the eternal legacy of the pharaohs. The Romans would not only adopt the idea of monumental tombs but also incorporate the rich symbolism of the afterlife, creating a culture of remembrance that would endure through centuries. As the Roman Empire expanded, so too did the influence of Egyptian architecture. The Romans established cities across North Africa, where they constructed their own temples in formats inspired by those of the pharaohs. Structures like the Temple of Trajan in Egypt echo the design elements of ancient temples, demonstrating the seamless integration of Egyptian aesthetics into the Roman architectural lexicon. The cultural exchange reached its zenith during the period known as the Hellenistic Age, where the blending of Eastern and Western ideas flourished. Alexandria, as a melting pot, became the crucible where Egyptian, Greek, and Roman influences intertwined, fostering an environment ripe for innovation in art and architecture. The Romans, eager to assert their dominance, adapted the architectural features that had long captivated them, ensuring that these styles were proliferated throughout their vast empire. In the heart of Rome, structures like the Forum were transformed into vibrant centers of civic life, drawing upon the lessons learned from Egyptian public spaces. The monumental architecture that rose during the reign of Augustus sought not only to impress but to unify, creating a sense of shared identity among the diverse peoples of the empire. Temples, basilicas, and civic buildings became manifestations of power and community, echoing the very principles established by Egyptian architects thousands of years prior. Thus, the architects of ancient Egypt left an indelible mark on the fabric of Roman engineering and design. Their monumental structures were more than mere stone and labor, they were expressions of belief, power, and identity that transcended time. Through the lens of architecture, the threads connecting these great civilizations become clearer, revealing a tapestry woven with ambition, creativity, and an enduring quest for permanence in an ever-changing world. As the sun set over the Mediterranean, a palpable tension hung in the air, the kind that hinted at thunderous conflict. The ancient world was a mosaic of rivalries and alliances, where the ambitions of Rome, Greece, and Egypt often clashed in spectacular fashion. This was a time of warriors and commanders, of strategies that would shape entire cultures and the destinies of empires. The first major confrontation took place in the shadow of the Aegean Sea, where the mighty Persian Empire, under the command of Darius the Great, sought to expand its influence into the heart of Greece. In 490 BC, the stage was set for the Battle of Marathon. A small contingent of Athenian soldiers, driven by the fervor of freedom, met the Persian forces in a clash that would resonate through history. Against overwhelming odds, the Athenians, bolstered by their knowledge of the terrain and fierce determination, emerged victorious. This battle ignited the flame of Greek unity against foreign domination, sowing the seeds of a burgeoning sense of national identity. It was a remarkable testament to what a united front could achieve against a seemingly insurmountable foe, and it would inspire generations to come. As the dust settled, the Greeks found themselves standing on the precipice of a new era. The victory at Marathon strengthened Athens' resolve, propelling them into further military engagements that would shape the classical world. A decade later, the tide of conflict surged again as Xerxes, Darius' successor, launched an even more formidable campaign to subjugate Greece. The Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BC became legendary. A mere 300 Spartans, led by King Leonidas, stood bravely against an invading force estimated to number in the hundreds of thousands. Their sacrifice became emblematic of courage and resilience, serving as a rallying cry that united city-states against a common enemy. Meanwhile, the naval battle of Salamis saw a decisive victory for the Greek fleet, crippling the Persian armada and ultimately leading to the withdrawal of Xerxes from Greece. Yet, amid the ashes of war, the embers of rivalry continued to burn brightly. The end of the Persian Wars did not signal the end of conflict, rather, it set the stage for a new theater of power struggles. The Athenian Empire, having tasted the sweetness of victory, had begun to overreach, instigating tensions with former allies. The Peloponnesian War erupted in 431 BC, pitting Athens against Sparta and its coalition of city-states. This devastating conflict would rip through Greece for nearly 3 decades, showcasing the fragility of alliances and the perils of hubris. In the end, Sparta's superior land forces prevailed, but the war left Greece weakened, paving the way for external powers to exploit the fraying threads of Hellenic unity. As the Greeks grappled with their internal strife, Egypt found itself at a crossroads. The conquests of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BC forever altered the landscape of the ancient world. In 332 BC, Alexander marched into Egypt, greeted as a liberator from Persian rule. His arrival marked the beginning of a new chapter, as he established the city of Alexandria, a beacon of culture, commerce, and knowledge. Under his rule, the Hellenization of Egypt began, merging Greek and Egyptian cultures in a way that would leave an indelible mark on both. The Ptolemaic dynasty that followed would continue this fusion, yet not without violent contests for the throne that often drew in external forces. The threads of conflict wound tightly around Egypt as rival claimants, such as Ptolemy and Cleopatra, navigated a complex web of alliances and enmities. Cleopatra VII, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom, took center stage in a dramatic saga of seduction and warfare that would ensnare Rome. Her alliances with powerful Roman leaders like Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony were strategic moves to fortify her rule, but they also painted a target on her back. The ensuing conflict with Octavian, Julius Caesar's adopted heir, led to the climactic naval battle at Actium in 31 BC. The defeat of Antony and Cleopatra marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and ushered in Roman dominion over Egypt, reshaping the region's geopolitical landscape yet again. In the wake of these tumultuous encounters, Rome's military might forged a narrative of conquest and assimilation. The Roman legions, renowned for their discipline and organization, swept across the Mediterranean, drawing the threads of previous civilizations into their vast tapestry. Key battles, such as the conquest of Carthage in the Punic Wars, revealed Rome's appetite for expansion and dominance. The fall of Carthage in 146 BC was not merely a military victory, it signified Rome's emergence as an unrivaled power in the ancient world, a potent force that would dictate the course of history for centuries to come. As Rome consolidated its power, it also engaged in a cultural exchange, borrowing from the architectural brilliance of Greece and the mystical traditions of Egypt. The Roman pantheon absorbed deities from both cultures, and their artistic expressions reflected a synthesis of styles that spoke to the interconnectedness of these once rival civilizations. The conquests were not just about territory, they laid the groundwork for a cultural legacy that would resonate through time, intertwining the fates of empires and enriching the human story. In every battle fought, every empire risen, and every throne claimed, the echoes of conflict wove an intricate narrative, binding together the destinies of Rome, Greece, and Egypt. Each clash brought lessons and legacies, illuminating the roads of power, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of greatness that defined the ancient world. Amidst the rise and fall of empires, another powerful force emerged, shaping the minds and hearts of civilizations, literature and learning. The ancient scribes and philosophers of Rome, Greece, and Egypt laid the foundations of intellectual thought, crafting narratives and ideas that resonate even today. Their contributions were not merely reflections of their times but vibrant threads in the expansive tapestry of human knowledge. In the cradles of civilization, epic poetry held a sacred place. The Iliad and the Odyssey, attributed to Homer around the 8th century BCE, transcended mere storytelling, offering profound insights into heroism, fate, and the human condition. These works were not just tales of gods and warriors, they were reflections of Greek values, encapsulating the ideals of bravery, honor, and the often volatile nature of life. As oral traditions transformed into written texts, the power of the word became a catalyst for cultural identity, drawing communities together in shared narratives that defined their existence. Over in Egypt, the wisdom of the ancients found its voice in a different form. The pyramid texts, inscribed within the tombs of pharaohs, served as both literature and a guide for the afterlife, revealing the Egyptians' profound beliefs about mortality and the divine. This intersection of the earthly and the eternal reflected a society deeply invested in the questions of existence, an inquiry that set the stage for philosophical exploration. Meanwhile, the works of figures like Ptahhotep and later, the Tales of Sinew, painted a picture of moral guidance and governance, emphasizing virtues that would resonate through centuries of thought. As the Greek city-states flourished, the philosophers emerged as the torchbearers of knowledge, forever changing the intellectual landscape. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle challenged their contemporaries to think critically and question the status quo. Their dialogues and treatises delved into ethics, politics, and metaphysics, establishing the foundations of Western philosophy. In these discussions, one can trace the roots of democracy, justice, and the concept of the ideal state, ideas that would echo through time, influencing not just their own society but also the Roman Empire and beyond. The intellectual fervor of the Greeks did not exist in isolation. As the Persian Empire posed a formidable threat, the Greeks found solace and strength in their shared stories and philosophical ideals. This collective heritage fostered a sense of unity that transcended the borders of individual city-states. The convergence of different thoughts and ideas created a rich atmosphere for dialogue, where the essence of learning thrived amidst competition and conflict. With the rise of the Roman Republic, literature took on a new urgency. The Romans adopted and adapted Greek literary forms, producing their own masterpieces that captured the complexities of their society. Virgil's Aeneid, completed in 19 BCE, emerged as a national epic, intertwining myth and history to celebrate Rome's origins and imperial aspirations. This was more than a tale of a hero's journey, it was a deliberate construction of Roman identity, intertwining fate with divine providence, thereby asserting Rome's destiny as a global power. Meanwhile, the historian Livy chronicled the rise of Rome with a keen eye for moral lessons, offering insights into virtue and vice. His monumental work, Ab Urbi Condita, provided not only a historical account but a commentary on the nature of empire itself. In these writings, the Romans explored their roots, cataloguing triumphs and failures alike, a testament to their understanding that history was a living entity, capable of shaping the present and guiding the future. The Library of Alexandria became the hallmark of knowledge, a beacon of learning that attracted scholars from across the known world. Established in the 3rd century BCE, it housed countless scrolls and texts, representing the convergence of Greek, Egyptian, and later Roman thought. Here, the pursuit of knowledge took center stage, as scholars like Euclid and Eratosthenes made groundbreaking strides in mathematics and geography, connecting intellectual threads across cultures. As these civilizations mingled, the Hellenistic period emerged, fostering an environment ripe for cultural exchange. The blending of Greek philosophy with Egyptian spirituality paved the way for new interpretations of knowledge. The works of Philo of Alexandria during the 1st century CE exemplified this synthesis, merging Jewish thought with Greek philosophy, revealing a world where ideas traveled freely, breaking barriers of culture and tradition. Yet, with the rise of emperors and the establishment of regimes, literature also became a tool for propaganda and control. The age of Augustus saw poets like Horace and Ovid navigating the delicate balance between art and state. While celebrating the glory of Rome, they also subtly critiqued its political landscape, reminding their audience of the fragility of power and the impermanence of life. As the empires began their slow decline, the enduring power of literature and learning was evident. The scrolls and texts, once cherished, now faced the threat of loss, yet they persevered. The legacy of these ancient civilizations, interwoven with poignant stories and profound philosophical inquiries, laid the groundwork for future generations. The lessons gleaned from their triumphs and failures would guide the thinkers, writers, and leaders of tomorrow. In this intricate dance of knowledge, the threads connecting Rome, Greece, and Egypt became undeniably clear. Literature and learning transcended borders, igniting the flame of curiosity and inquiry that would illuminate the path of civilization for centuries to come. The echoes of ancient words still resonate, reminding us that the quest for understanding transcends time, binding us all in a shared human experience. In the heart of the ancient Mediterranean world, a powerful force wove its way through the tapestry of civilizations, binding disparate cultures in a shared belief system. Religion, with its myriad practices and doctrines, served as a unifying thread that transcended borders, languages, and traditions. As empires rose and fell, the gods they worshipped were not merely local deities confined to specific regions, they were the essence of connection, a testament to humanity's search for meaning and order amid chaos. In Egypt, the pharaohs revered a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each representing different aspects of life and the afterlife, from Osiris, the god of the underworld, to Isis, the nurturing mother figure. Simultaneously, in Greece, the Olympian gods, with their intricate stories of heroism and moral lessons, occupied the imaginations of the people. Yet, as trade routes flourished and armies marched across the vast landscapes, the interaction between these cultures led to a fascinating syncretism of beliefs. The Egyptians began to identify their deities with those of the Greeks, creating hybrids that embraced the attributes of both. The merging of deities was not just a matter of convenience, it was a profound acknowledgement of shared human experiences and existential questions. As early as the 5th century BCE, the Greeks began to travel to Egypt, captivated by its ancient wisdom and monumental architecture. The priesthood welcomed these seekers, fascinated by the philosophers and their inquiries into existence. The Greeks brought with them their own religious practices, and in the melting pot of Alexandria, where cultures collided, a new spiritual language began to emerge. Greek philosophical thought began to permeate Egyptian religious practices, leading to a shift in how both cultures viewed the divine. This syncretism flourished, creating a rich fabric of beliefs that would influence generations. The conquests of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BCE further accelerated this intertwining of faiths. When Alexander arrived in Egypt, he was not merely a conqueror, he was seen as a liberator and even a god. The temple of Amun at Siwa greeted him as a divine figure, reinforcing the notion that the boundaries of divinity were fluid and often shaped by the narratives created by those in power. Following his death, his empire splintered, but the cultural exchanges remained, particularly under the Ptolemies, who ruled Egypt and sought to blend Greek and Egyptian traditions into a cohesive whole. This fusion was not an erasure of identity but rather an expansion, where syncretism became a means of survival and cohesion. As Rome rose to prominence in the Mediterranean, it inherited this complex landscape of beliefs. The Romans, adept at absorbing and adapting the cultures of those they conquered, incorporated gods from Greece and Egypt into their own pantheon. The goddess Isis, once a central figure of Egyptian mythology, found her way into Roman hearts and temples, representing motherhood, fertility, and rebirth. Her worship spread throughout the empire, transcending geographic and cultural boundaries, illustrating how religious practices could kindle a sense of unity among diverse peoples. The sanctuaries dedicated to Isis were not simply places of worship, they became cultural crossroads where individuals from various backgrounds gathered, sharing stories, rituals, and a burgeoning sense of community. It was in these sacred spaces that the lines between Greek, Egyptian, and Roman beliefs blurred, allowing for a collective identity to flourish. The incorporation of foreign deities into local religions not only reflected the flexibility of belief but also emphasized the human desire for connection in a world often marked by division. Philosophers of the time, influenced by this amalgamation of ideas, sought to understand the divine and the nature of existence through a more universal lens. Thinkers like Plotinus, who lived in the 3rd century CE, proposed concepts of a singular, ineffable source of all existence, an idea that resonated with both Hellenistic and Eastern thought. This philosophical syncretism did not merely coexist alongside religious beliefs, it actively shaped them, illustrating how shared questions about existence and morality fostered deeper connections among disparate cultures. As the centuries unfolded, the growth of early Christianity also revealed the powerful role religion played in uniting peoples across the Mediterranean. Emerging from its Jewish roots, Christianity adopted elements from both Greek philosophy and indigenous pagan practices. The teachings of Jesus resonated with many, offering a message of hope and redemption that transcended ethnic and cultural boundaries. The early Christians gathered in homes and catacombs, creating a sense of belonging that was both radical and inclusive. By the time of Constantine in the early 4th century, the fabric of religious belief in the Roman Empire was irrevocably altered, as Christianity began to weave itself into the very identity of the state. The decline of the classical world, marked by the fall of Rome, did not extinguish the threads of this intricate tapestry. Instead, the shared religious practices, philosophies, and cultural exchanges laid the groundwork for the future, influencing the rise of new faiths and the ongoing dialogue between different belief systems. The legacy of syncretism endured, reminding us that beneath the fractures of history lies a profound continuity, a testament to how humanity seeks connection through shared beliefs. In the grand narrative of ancient civilizations, religion emerged not just as a system of worship but as a vibrant force that connected cultures, fostered dialogue, and shaped identities. The unseen threads of faith, woven through the expansive tapestry of history, illustrate the enduring power of shared beliefs in an ever-evolving world. Through the lens of religion, we catch a glimpse of our shared humanity, a reminder that in the complex mosaic of existence, we are all bound together by our quest for understanding, meaning, and connection. As the sun set on the golden age of ancient civilizations, shadows began to creep across the once thriving landscapes of Rome, Greece, and Egypt. The decline of these empires wasn't marked by a single cataclysmic event, but rather a convergence of economic troubles, invasions, and internal strife that would unravel their intricate threads. Each civilization, despite its unique strengths, faced a critical juncture that would challenge its very foundations. In Greece, the flickering flame of democracy began to dim under the weight of economic hardship. By the 4th century BCE, the aftermath of the Peloponnesian War had left the city-states fractured and financially strained. The vibrant marketplaces that once buzzed with commerce became eerily quiet as trade dwindled. Landowners struggled under the burden of debt while the lower classes, now devoid of opportunities, swelled in their discontent. Socrates, the philosophical beacon of Athens, spoke to the reality of his time when he lamented how the pursuit of wealth had eclipsed the pursuit of virtue. The political landscape, once alive with debate, grew stagnant as demagogues capitalized on the growing unease, sowing discord among the populace. A society built on the principles of collaboration and civic responsibility began to fragment under the weight of its internal divisions. Meanwhile, in Rome, the Republic had transformed into an empire, but not without consequence. The very success that expanded its borders eventually led to its vulnerability. The wealth of conquered territories poured into Rome, but it also bred corruption and complacency. By the time of the late Republic, the elite were engrossed in their lavish lifestyles, turning a blind eye to the needs of the masses. The gap between the rich and the poor widened, and with it, social unrest festered. The rise of powerful generals, like Sulla and later Julius Caesar, highlighted the erosion of traditional republican values. The military, once a protector of the state, became a tool for personal ambition, further destabilizing the republic. As Rome transitioned into an empire, the strains of governance became overwhelming, leading to a series of civil wars that would plague the 1st century BCE. In Egypt, the Ptolemaic dynasty, inheritors of Alexander the Great's legacy, grappled with its own troubles. The once unifying influence of Hellenistic culture began to fray as internal conflicts erupted among the ruling elite. The last of the Ptolemaic rulers, Cleopatra VII, faced not only the threat of external forces like Rome but also the challenge of maintaining loyalty among her own subjects. Her attempts to revive Egypt's former glory through strategic alliances were overshadowed by the relentless march of time. The economic decline, exacerbated by failed harvests and rising taxes, left the people disillusioned. The rich tapestry of Egyptian culture, once vibrant with artistic and intellectual achievements, began to fade as political and social stability crumbled. Beyond the borders of these civilizations, external threats loomed ominously. The rise of the Persian Empire posed a significant challenge for Greece, leading to a series of conflicts known as the Persian Wars. Though the Greeks ultimately triumphed, the cost of war eroded their unity and left them vulnerable to subsequent invasions. The Macedonian conquest under Philip II and later his son Alexander marked a definitive shift in power dynamics, illustrating how the ambitions of a single kingdom could redraw the map of the ancient world. As the Roman Empire expanded, it drew in diverse cultures, but this very diversity also contributed to its decline. When faced with invasions from Germanic tribes and the relentless push of the Huns, the empire found itself struggling to defend its vast borders. The sacking of Rome in 410 CE by the Visigoths was a jarring wake-up call, signaling that the once invulnerable empire had feet of clay. The internal conflicts, combined with the external pressures, created a perfect storm that spiraled into chaos. The entangled web of alliances and rivalries that characterized these ancient civilizations also became a double-edged sword. As power shifted, loyalty became a precarious commodity. In Egypt, the strategic alliances that Cleopatra forged with both Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony were intended to restore her reign but ultimately led to her downfall following their defeat at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. The Roman Empire witnessed similar betrayals as ambitious leaders sought to elevate their status, often at the cost of the empire's cohesion. As the empires crumbled, the cultural legacies of Rome, Greece, and Egypt were not entirely lost, rather, they evolved, influencing subsequent generations. The philosophical ideas of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle transcended their time, shaping the intellectual landscape of the Middle Ages and beyond. The architectural marvels of Rome continued to inspire builders long after the fall of the empire, while Egyptian innovations in art and science were absorbed into the cultures that succeeded them. The decline of these great civilizations serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities of power and the fragility of human endeavor. Economies can falter, invasions can disrupt, and internal conflicts can fracture even the most resilient societies. Yet from this decline emerges a critical lesson: the strength of a civilization often lies not just in its conquests but in its capacity to adapt and evolve in the face of adversity. As the threads of time weave through history, they connect the past to the present, reminding us that the echoes of these ancient cultures continue to resonate within our modern world. As we stand on the shoulders of giants, the legacies of Rome, Greece, and Egypt shape our contemporary landscape in profound and often unseen ways. Each of these ancient civilizations crafted not only remarkable achievements but also a framework that informs our governance, cultural practices, and philosophical inquiries today. The Roman Republic's innovative concepts of law and citizenship laid the groundwork for modern democratic systems. Their intricate legal codes, from the 12 Tables to Justinian's Corpus Juris Civilis, resonate in the judicial principles many nations uphold now. The idea that each citizen has a voice, and the belief in the rule of law over the whims of rulers, originated in these ancient forums and is echoed in the halls of modern legislatures. Meanwhile, Greek thought revolutionized our understanding of philosophy, science, and the arts, instilling a sense of inquiry that drives progress. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle posed questions that remain central to human existence. Their dialogues explored ethics, governance, and metaphysics, compelling us to ponder our place in the cosmos and the nature of our societies. Today, the Socratic method of questioning is foundational in education, encouraging critical thinking and intellectual debate. The ideals of democracy, nurtured in the city-states of ancient Greece, continue to inspire movements for freedom and equality worldwide, reminding us that the pursuit of a just society is timeless. Egypt's contributions, though often overshadowed by their Mediterranean counterparts, are equally significant. The principles of governance seen in the pharaonic era, characterized by a blend of divine authority and bureaucratic administration, offer insights into the relationship between state and religion, a theme that reverberates through history to the present day. The Egyptians mastered the art of diplomacy and trade, establishing intricate networks that facilitated cultural exchange, echoing in our globalized economy. Their advancements in architecture and engineering, exemplified by the grandeur of the pyramids, inspire modern architects and engineers, serving as testaments to human ingenuity and the pursuit of immortality through monumental art. The cultural exchange among these civilizations was not a one-way street. The Hellenization of Egypt is a brilliant example of how ideas traveled and transformed. When Alexander the Great conquered Egypt, he left behind a legacy of Greek culture that intermingled with Egyptian traditions. This fusion birthed a new intellectual and artistic movement that shaped the Mediterranean world. The Library of Alexandria, a hub of knowledge, became a beacon for scholars, where texts from diverse cultures converged, fostering a spirit of inquiry that persists in universities today. As Rome expanded, it absorbed and adapted elements from the cultures it encountered. This cultural borrowing enriched Roman society and, in turn, spread these influences across Europe and beyond. The pantheon of Roman gods mirrored Greek deities, while philosophical ideas from both cultures became intertwined in the fabric of Roman thought. The adoption of Greek philosophy by Roman thinkers like Cicero and Seneca forged a philosophical tradition that permeates Western thought, emphasizing reason, ethics, and the responsibilities of citizenship. The age of Augustus marked the transition from a republic to an empire, a pivotal transformation that highlighted the complexities of power and governance. Augustus' establishment of the Principate initiated a new era that laid the foundation for centralized authority while maintaining some republican ideals. This duality can be seen in modern governance, where the balance of power is a constant negotiation between authority and liberty. The enduring concept of an emperor's divine right to rule speaks to the complexities of leadership that still resonate in contemporary politics. Religion also played a significant role in the enduring legacies of these ancient civilizations. The syncretism seen in the Hellenistic period, where Greek and Egyptian religious practices blended, exemplifies how faith can unite diverse cultures. The spread of Christianity, emerging from this rich tapestry, was profoundly influenced by Hellenistic thought and Roman infrastructure, facilitating its global reach. Today, the intersections of faith and governance continue to stir debates about the role of religion in public life, echoing the ancient conversations that shaped those very foundations. As modern society grapples with issues of identity, citizenship, and governance, the lessons drawn from the past illuminate our path forward. The triumphs and failures of these ancient civilizations serve as cautionary tales, urging us to learn from their successes and missteps. The decline of these empires teaches us that permanence is an illusion and that adaptability is vital for survival. In an age of rapid change, the ability to evolve while honoring our shared heritage becomes essential. Ultimately, the legacy of the ancients is a tapestry woven with countless threads, each contributing to the rich narrative of human history. Their achievements in law, philosophy, art, and governance remain cornerstones upon which modern civilization stands. As we navigate the complexities of our own time, we are reminded that the past is not merely a series of events but a living entity, always influencing our choices and shaping our collective destiny. The unseen connections between these great civilizations and today's world continue to inspire and challenge us, urging us to engage with the lessons of history, ensuring that the echoes of the ancients resonate through the ages. As we delve deeper into the intricate tapestry of human history, the threads connecting ancient Rome, Greece, and Egypt become ever more vivid. Each civilization, while distinct in its own right, contributed to a shared narrative that transcends borders and time. Picture this: the bustling marketplaces of Alexandria, filled with merchants from across the Mediterranean, where ideas flowed as freely as goods. The exchange of knowledge and culture in these vibrant hubs laid the groundwork for advancements that continue to shape our understanding of the world today. In the shadow of the Great Pyramids, intellectuals gathered to discuss philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. The Egyptians, renowned for their architectural wonders, understood the cosmos in ways that would later influence Greek thinkers like Ptolemy, who meticulously charted the stars. The Greek fascination with the natural world, epitomized in the works of philosophers such as Aristotle, was inspired by earlier Egyptian scholars, creating a lineage of thought that would propel humanity forward. The Romans, too, were deeply influenced by their predecessors. As the empire expanded, it absorbed elements of Greek culture, from art and literature to religion and governance. The Roman poet Virgil, seeking to forge a national identity, drew heavily on Homer's epics, weaving his own tales of heroism and destiny that echoed the grandeur of the past. This cultural borrowing was not mere imitation, it was a reinvention, a synthesis of ancient wisdom that informed the very fabric of Roman identity. The flow of ideas was complemented by the movement of people. The conquests of Alexander the Great spread Hellenistic culture across Egypt and into the heart of Persia, while Roman legions transported new beliefs and practices throughout their vast territories. This relentless exchange fostered an environment ripe for innovation. From the philosophical schools of Athens to the bustling streets of Rome, thinkers debated the nature of existence, laying philosophical foundations that would resonate through centuries. Yet, it was not simply the flow of ideas that knit these civilizations together, but also the complex web of trade routes that crisscrossed their landscapes. The Silk Road, for example, linked the Mediterranean with the East, facilitating not just commerce but the interchange of cultures. Spices, silks, and precious metals traveled alongside philosophies and religions. Each item carried with it stories and traditions that enriched the civilizations it touched, illustrating how interconnected their fates truly were. In this grand narrative, religion acted as another thread weaving these cultures together. The pantheon of Roman gods was influenced by both Greek deities and the ancient Egyptian Osiris, reflecting a shared human desire to understand the divine. As these civilizations encountered one another, their spiritual beliefs evolved, creating syncretic practices that merged elements from different traditions. The worship of Isis, for instance, spread from Egypt to Rome, symbolizing the profound cultural exchanges that shaped religious practices across regions. The decline of these great empires further illustrates the importance of these interconnections. As the Roman Empire faced internal strife and external pressures, echoes of Hellenistic thought and Egyptian wisdom persisted, influencing emerging cultures and societies. The fall of Rome did not signal the end of its legacy, rather, it paved the way for the rise of new powers that would draw upon the rich heritage left behind. The Byzantine Empire, for instance, carried forward the torch of Greco-Roman knowledge, preserving texts and traditions that would later ignite the flames of the Renaissance. In contemplating the threads of time that bind these ancient civilizations, we must acknowledge the lessons they impart. Their stories remind us of the fragility of power and the resilience of ideas. The interconnectedness of Rome, Greece, and Egypt serves as a poignant reminder of humanity's shared heritage. As we face our own challenges in a rapidly changing world, the wisdom of the ancients can guide us. Understanding the past is not merely an academic exercise, it is a crucial step in navigating our future. The struggles and triumphs of these ancient peoples resonate with our contemporary experiences, urging us to confront the complexities of human existence. The themes of governance, philosophy, and spirituality explored in their narratives continue to offer insights into our own societal structures and the moral dilemmas we face today. As we reflect on the unseen threads connecting these ancient giants, we recognize that their influence is not confined to dusty textbooks or archaeological sites. It vibrates through our modern world, reminding us that we stand on the shoulders of giants. The legacy of ancient Rome, Greece, and Egypt is woven into the very fabric of our lives, from the languages we speak to the laws we uphold. In embracing this interconnectedness, we find not only a deeper appreciation of our history but also the strength to forge a future that honors the lessons of the past. The threads of time bind us all in a shared narrative, one that transcends geographical boundaries and cultural differences, urging us to engage, learn, and grow as part of a greater human experience. Here, in this intricate tapestry of civilizations, we discover our place in the continuum of history, a reminder that what unites us is often far greater than what separates us. The lessons gleaned from the ancient civilizations of Rome, Greece, and Egypt resonate through the ages, offering us valuable insights into the complexities of human society. These monumental cultures were not merely products of their time, rather, they were crucibles of innovation, philosophy, and governance, shaping the foundations of modern civilization. Their stories teach us about resilience in the face of adversity, the importance of unity, and the peril of hubris. Take, for instance, the mighty Roman Empire, which spanned across continents and cultures, weaving a narrative of conquest and assimilation. Rome's enduring legacy of law and governance can be traced back to its earliest days, when the 12 Tables codified legal principles that would echo through history. The Romans understood that a cohesive society required a shared framework of justice, one that not only maintained order but also cultivated a sense of belonging among its citizens. This understanding is crucial today as we navigate our increasingly complex world, where the rule of law remains a cornerstone of societal stability. Learning from Rome invites us to reflect on the values that underpin our own legal systems and governance structures, urging us to strive for justice, equity, and transparency. As we turn our gaze to Greece, the cradle of democracy, we find another profound lesson: the power of civic engagement. The Athenian experiment in democracy, though imperfect, was a radical departure from the autocratic systems that preceded it. Citizens were encouraged to participate in political discourse, fostering a culture of debate and intellectual exploration. This foundation of democratic principles serves as a reminder of the importance of active participation in shaping our communities. In an era where apathy often reigns, the Greek commitment to civic duty encourages us to embrace our roles as engaged citizens, advocating for change and holding our leaders accountable. Their legacy reminds us that democracy is not a given; it requires vigilance, dialogue, and a willingness to stand up for our beliefs. Egypt, with its majestic pyramids and enigmatic hieroglyphs, offers another vantage point from which to extract wisdom. The Egyptians viewed time as cyclical, deeply intertwined with their spiritual beliefs and daily life. This perspective invites us to appreciate the importance of continuity and tradition in our own lives. By honoring our past, we can forge a clearer path forward. The Egyptians' reverence for their ancestors, as seen in their elaborate burial practices, speaks to a deep-seated understanding of the interconnectedness of generations. In modern society, where the rush of progress can sometimes overshadow our roots, we can learn from this ancient wisdom to cultivate a greater appreciation for the values and narratives that shape our identities. Moreover, the art of storytelling, prevalent in all three civilizations, serves as a powerful vessel for cultural transmission. The epics of Homer and the philosophy of Socrates were not just intellectual exercises, they were tools for weaving together the fabric of society. Through tales of heroism and moral inquiry, ancient storytellers imparted lessons that transcended time and space. Today, in an age dominated by technology and rapid communication, the art of storytelling remains a potent force. It is through our stories that we connect with one another, fostering empathy and understanding across diverse backgrounds. Embracing this legacy encourages us to share our narratives, not only to preserve our histories but to build bridges in a fragmented world. In reflecting upon the rise and fall of these great empires, we cannot ignore the cautionary tales embedded within their histories. The Roman reliance on military might and expansion ultimately sowed the seeds of its own decline, highlighting the dangers of overreach and complacency. Similarly, the democracy of Athens, while groundbreaking, was marred by exclusion and internal strife, reminding us that the ideals of freedom must be pursued with diligence and inclusivity. The fall of Egypt's ancient power underscores the vulnerability of even the most prosperous civilizations to changing circumstances and environmental challenges. These narratives alert us to the fragility of our achievements, urging us to remain vigilant against the dangers of arrogance and disconnect. As we weave through the threads of time, the interconnections between these civilizations reveal a deeper understanding of human nature. The ambitions, struggles, and triumphs of ancient peoples mirror our own experiences, offering timeless insights into the human condition. The rich tapestry of Rome, Greece, and Egypt illustrates how shared challenges can spark innovation, collaboration, and cultural exchange. These civilizations thrived not in isolation but through interaction, learning, and adaptation. This lesson is more relevant than ever as we confront global challenges that demand cooperation, empathy, and shared solutions. Ultimately, the most profound lesson we draw from the ancients is the enduring relevance of their wisdom. In a world characterized by rapid change and uncertainty, the principles of justice, civic engagement, and respect for tradition illuminate pathways forward. The echoes of the past remind us that we are part of a continuum, inheritors of a legacy that stretches across millennia. It is our responsibility to engage with this history, not merely to reflect on what has been but to shape what is to come. In honoring the lessons of Rome, Greece, and Egypt, we empower ourselves to build a future that is informed by the richness of our shared human experience, ensuring that the threads connecting us remain strong and vibrant for generations to come. The stories woven through ancient Rome, Greece, and Egypt are not merely relics of an illustrious past, they are living narratives that breathe life into our present and illuminate our future. These civilizations, so distinct yet intricately intertwined, offer profound insights into the human experience and exemplify the power of cultural exchange. As we delve into their histories, we discover that the foundations of democracy, philosophy, art, and science were built upon the shared efforts of these great cultures, forming a tapestry that continues to influence our world today. Consider the democratic ideals that sprouted from the streets of Athens, where the voices of citizens echoed in the agoras. The seeds of democracy, nurtured by the philosophical musings of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, found fertile ground in the political structures of Rome. The Roman Republic, with its intricate system of checks and balances, was inspired by these Greek thinkers and laid the groundwork for modern governance. Today, the ideals of liberty and justice resonate across the globe, echoing the democratic fervor that began thousands of years ago, demonstrating that the aspirations of individuals for freedom and representation are timeless and universal. In the realm of philosophy, the questions posed by these ancient thinkers still challenge and inspire us. Their inquiries into ethics, existence, and the nature of reality shape not only academic discourse but also the very fabric of our daily lives. The Socratic method remains a cornerstone of education, urging inquiry and dialogue. The philosophical debates of antiquity continue to inform modern ethics, pushing us to confront the moral dilemmas of our time. Through this lens, we understand that the thoughts and questions that once occupied the minds of men like Aristotle are still relevant as we navigate the complexities of contemporary society. Art and architecture, too, forged connections that transcend time and geography. The majestic columns of the Parthenon inspired the grandeur of Roman structures, while Egyptian artistry influenced both Greek and Roman aesthetics. The beauty of these civilizations is preserved in the ruins that speak to us from millennia past. Today, architects and artists draw upon these classic forms, adapting them to modern sensibilities, creating spaces and works that resonate with the same reverence for beauty and meaning. This continuity is a testament to the enduring legacy of their creators, reminding us that creativity knows no boundaries, and inspiration is a thread that binds us across cultures and eras. The scientific and mathematical advancements of these ancient civilizations have laid the groundwork for our modern understanding of the universe. From the geometric principles of Euclid to the astronomical observations of Hipparchus, their contributions shaped the fields of mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. The knowledge amassed by the Greeks and later refined by the Romans and Egyptians continues to underpin contemporary science. Today's innovations in technology and medicine are built upon the careful observations and calculations of those who came before us. The scientific method, which emerged from this ancient tradition of inquiry, remains a powerful tool in our quest for knowledge and understanding. Trade routes established by these civilizations served as conduits for not only goods but also ideas and cultures. The Silk Road, connecting the East and West, allowed the exchange of philosophies, religions, and technologies, creating a melting pot of cultures that enriched human history. The influence of Egyptian, Greek, and Roman ideals extended far beyond their borders, shaping the development of societies around the Mediterranean and beyond. In our interconnected world today, we find ourselves in a similar landscape, where the flow of information and culture knows no boundaries. As we engage with diverse perspectives, we mirror the exchanges that once occurred along those ancient trade routes, reaffirming the importance of dialogue and understanding in our global community. As we reflect on the decline of these once mighty empires, we must also recognize the resilience of their legacies. The stories of Rome, Greece, and Egypt remind us that civilizations rise and fall, yet their contributions endure. The lessons learned from their triumphs and failures continue to resonate, urging us to build societies that value harmony, knowledge, and cooperation. In the face of challenges, the echoes of the past guide us towards solutions rooted in our shared humanity. Emerging from this exploration is a profound realization that the threads connecting these civilizations are not merely historical artifacts. They are the very essence of our human experience. The struggles and achievements of our ancestors are reflected in our contemporary lives, shaping our identities and aspirations. As we navigate the complexities of the present, the insights gleaned from Rome, Greece, and Egypt provide a compass, guiding us toward a future rich in understanding and collaboration. In celebrating this tapestry of civilizations, we honor the shared heritage that binds us as a global community. The unseen connections that link our histories are a reminder of the potential for unity amidst diversity. As we move forward, let us embrace the lessons of the ancients, ensuring that the threads that connect us remain strong and vibrant. Together, we can weave a future that not only honors the past but also illuminates the path ahead, fostering a world enriched by the wisdom and creativity of all peoples. The story of humanity is an ongoing narrative, shaped by the unseen threads of time, and it is ours to continue writing.